Buy the gas from us, but you also must buy a rug.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Thursday, December 4th, 2014. Time for your Gitmo Nation Media Assassination, episode 675.
This is No Agenda.
Time warping through the Van Allen belts from home base in FEMA Region 6 here in Austin, Texas. In the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where it's all wet, I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill.
Yeah. Wow. I guess I was a little short on the intro.
You were?
Yeah, I think I pulled something out, and then I thought you would have more.
No, I think it was fine.
No, it doesn't. It was loose.
It worked.
Loosey-goosey. Anything happen in the world?
No. It took the day off. The world took the day off.
Well, they've finally done it, John. They finally got their little race war going. Yay! Well, finally, they've done it.
You know, most people, black and white, aren't interested in a race war.
No,
they're just not interested. I mean, there's a bunch of people that like to incite race wars, but there's most people who don't want to.
It depends on what you mean under what you understand under a race war. I think it is. It's the conclusion. It's the conclusions that people draw that I find interesting. You know what I mean?
What do they like? What?
Oh, white privilege.
Oh yeah,
this kind of stuff. That cops everywhere are just hunting down black kids. That's pretty much.
White kids get hunted down too.
Yeah, but that's not. That's not.
I think this is. Well, I don't know.
That's not the conclusion of the race war, unfortunately. Do you have an opinion? I mean, it's unavoidable. This is the only thing that's been on. I
do have the clip from the chokehold update.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me get the chokehold update. Does it require any intro?
Yeah, chokehold.
But he also called for calm, as did New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio, who urged nonviolent protest. The officer, Daniel Pantaleo, issued a statement saying, "It is never my intention to harm anyone, and I feel very bad about the death of Mr. Garner."
De Blasio asked for nonviolent protests. Isn't he the mayor?
Yeah, he's the mayor of New York City, yes.
Why is he asking for protests at all? Isn't he running the place? It's his fault?
No, but there you go.
Why would the mayor say, let's have nonviolent protests over this does anyone find that peculiar?
Yeah, I find all of this peculiar, but it seems to be... Seriously, John, it seems that this is really... There's a lot of people all in on this. I'm loving the black voices like Charles Barkley. I love how he's coming out and talking about this. Did you see this Sheriff David Clark? He's from Milwaukee. Did you see him speak at all?
No.
Well, it's a longer clip. I want to play that in a moment.
Well, I have a Ferguson clip that probably should be played.
Okay.
Just to give our audience kind of a deeper understanding of the difference between our show and shows like Democracy Now!
Police in Missouri say
this.
I'm sorry.
Whoops.
Did you not want me to do that yet?
Yeah. No. Well, you've been jumping on these a little early. When you find them, like you're surprised.
well, no, I waited. There was this long pause, and like, okay, I'll hit it now.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, actually, you can hit it now, but let me just set it up anyway.
All right.
Just to make sure that people can see the difference between our show, because we're the only show, and I've said it in the newsletter, that played the entire clip of Michael Brown's dad exhorting the crowd to burn down the place, right?
Yes. It was about 30 seconds or whatever. Yeah.
And this is what you get from Democracy Now!
Police in Missouri say the stepfather of Michael Brown is under investigation for potential incitement. A video taken just after the grand jury decision not to indict Officer Darren Wilson for Brown's death shows Lewis Head in an emotional outburst. He's seen saying, "Burn this bleep down."
No clip at all.
And he said, burn this bleep down.
Because God forbid we say the word bitch. Wow. Yeah.
I found that disgusting.
So here is, again, it's all about the response and what I find it interesting to see what the response of the administration is. And by the way, just looking at at Ferguson and what makes the news. For weeks now, and certainly in the past 48 hours, this has all been, you see lists and lists of here's all the black men and black boys who have been killed by police. I've never, ever have I seen a list in the past, at least the past 10 years, of the black boys and white boys killed in Iraq, Afghanistan. You never see that. Just one of these things I notice. And then we have, black men killed while resisting arrest. Bill Cosby still at large. Just protect him. But if you want to understand what really happened, a lot of you, certainly in America, should probably not try to get out of jury duty and go sit on a jury and see. I'm sure you've been on jury, John. I'm sure you've done that.
No, I've been taken to jury duty. I've gone and sat there for 2 days and then told at the very end, well, you're a journalist. We don't want you on the jury.
See, I never got on the jury either because I was in the media, so they wouldn't let me in. But lots of people have done jury duty, and it's a little more nuanced than the way it's being portrayed. And of course, this New York choking is very subtly being connected to Staten Island. When you know that's code, right?
No.
Yeah, for Republicans. Oh, yeah. Oh, we never expected Staten Island to indict. No, because it's Republicans there. Then we have the let's see, what do we have? President Obama.
If we're going to look at this politically, I'd have to say that there has been, in retrospect, Obama has done absolutely nothing for the black community.
Oh, and the black community, there are lots of black voices coming out and saying that and calling him and Holder, race baiters, including Charles Barkley, which I think is great. Right. This finally. But listen to the words, short clip here, specifically the words that the president said.
I said, this is an issue that we've been dealing with for too long, and it's time for us to make more progress than we've made. And I'm not interested in talk. I'm interested in action. And I am absolutely committed as President of the United States to making sure that we have a country in which everybody believes in the core principle that we are equal under the law.
So he's not saying where everyone is equal under the law. He says where everyone believes they're equal under the law. And he really accentuated that too. Or am I just reading too much into this?
I think, I would say just superficially you're reading too much into it, but
yeah.
That's what he does.
Yeah, exactly. Now, this is leading to something which we may differ in opinion on.
This is not a problem simply of Ferguson, Missouri. This is a problem that is national. It is a solvable problem, but it is one that unfortunately spikes after one event and then fades into the background until something else happens.
So what exactly is President Obama proposing, and will it be enough to quell public anger? Well, he's calling for Congress to approve $263 million of funding. That would pay for 50,000 police body cameras. It would also pay for law enforcement training for officers. The idea, to build trust between police and the communities they serve.
So first there's the crookedness or the twisted nature of needing $250 million for body cameras when all of this military industrial complex stuff is being gifted straight through from the Defense Department.
I like that.
Yeah, right down to, bayonets.
Right, bayonets, Bearcats, multi-million-dollar devices.
Yeah, but now we need
devices, sound machines, and all the rest of it. Now they can't afford body cameras, and this body camera thing is a big deal in a lot of different ways because when it's been employed, all of police brutality drops, the complaints drop, all these things change because the cops are now surveilling themselves. Mm-hmm. But you have places like Seattle who tried it. And then they decided it was too complicated. They didn't like the idea. There was basically both Seattle and San Francisco police departments are notoriously corrupt and mean, mm-hmm. and they're just bastards essentially. and they won't wear these cameras because it will show what they're up to, and they can't do that. So they take but eventually I think these cops are going to have to be camerized. Now the one thing they're bitching about is, it's too difficult to, because they got to turn them on and off. They don't have to turn them on and off. You have them. The coolest system is the cameras going 24/7. When the policeman sits back in his car, it's immediately uploaded to the car and then transmitted to the headquarters where it's put on the hard disk on the servers. So it's just a transparent system. You just have to, do your job correctly.
Yeah, these are made by a company called Taser International Inc. And the synchronization and upload system you speak of is called The Evidence, which is a different website, evidence.com. Very interesting to see. This is a public company. Their stock has really been on the move for the past about 2 months. Lots of little insider trading and stuff. Yeah, it's. I'll tell you what the ticker symbol is.
What's the ticker symbol?
I'm going to give it to you. TASR. So they make tasers, obviously. Now, I think it's the idea of body cameras is not well thought through. It really is just another. Be sure it's going to protect the public, and we'll have our eyes on the cops, or the cops won't be able to do stuff. But at the same time, the abuse is so easy if we have cameras full time on the streets everywhere. I mean, why don't we just connect it up to HQ and turn these cops into bionic robo cops, and someone could just sit up there in the command center and just tell them what to do.
Okay.
This is not a. I do not think this is a good idea. Yes, there's lots of problems with police officers and corruption, but no different from politicians or bankers or anything like that. I don't agree with it. I don't think this is
well. Politicians and bankers aren't public servants that are supposed to protect and serve. They're businessmen. I don't want to hook them up to cameras. Doesn't make any sense. Your analogy is faulty.
We have okay. When it comes to transparency, then, if you want to go find out what politicians are doing, you have to go down to the basement and you can photocopy their investment portfolio. I'm just saying that.
And that's not good.
I don't think this is a good idea to have these body cameras. I just don't. I see the abuse factor. And also, you're going to have. I don't know. I need some data on it. You say it didn't work in Seattle. San Francisco. I need to see some data.
San Francisco hasn't tried it, but they won't. I doubt they'll touch it.
I don't think it's a. I just don't. It doesn't feel like a good idea to me. There is another. The thing that bothers me the most is the. What was it? The white privilege, and people are so embarrassed.
Yeah, Brony, I'll tell you before you go there, because you're so against the cameras. Here's what bothers me the most. What bothers me the most are these lawsuits against these municipalities over one thing or another, police brutality, or somebody gets run over, or by a public servant, or all these different sorts of things that cost millions and millions of dollars. If you do a little research on, police brutality lawsuits settled, like New York City drops $1 billion over a few years on these situations, and nobody gets fired. No public official gets fired. No. Who picks up the tab on this? The public.
The no agenda producers.
If this thing saves me tax money, put cameras on all these cops.
Okay. All right. I think less cameras in public is better. It's
not going to happen. You're on the wrong side of history.
Wrong side. Thank you, Obama. Put me on the wrong side of history. Here's an email I received, and I've seen the sign out on the streets. I am 3/5 a person. And this is here's an email I got. Now let me just read this to you. It's very disturbing.
Yeah.
Where's the email?
The calendar.
Huh?
Not now. Just it goes back to the 1700s or something.
Yes, it does. And this. So I'm getting emails. This is all about the white privilege, and we should be embarrassed, and all this is all messed up. I'm gonna read this email to you. Where is it here?
We should be embarrassed because of white privilege, and you got an email that told you this?
Here it is. Sorry. Somehow. Here it is. I lost the. Here we go. This is from Richard.
And Richard's a listener of the show?
Yes, he is a listener of the show.
Okay.
Is
he a producer? Is he?
I don't know if he's. I don't know if he's donated. This is regarding the clip from Michael Denzel Smith about the white supremacy and racism being baked right into the foundation of the country. Actually, I probably should baked. Yes, probably should play that clip again. Let me just see if I have that here somewhere. Do you recall the clip that I'm talking about?
No, I do not. I vaguely.
I think we played this on the last show. Let me just grab that. I'm sorry, I should have prepared this a little bit better.
No need to continually apologize.
I just feel bad about it. And now, of course, I really can't find it. Okay. Well, we're just going to have to live with not having it, I guess.
This is the way the show would be. I'm going to tell people something, a little secret.
Okay.
We did the Christmas show on Tuesday.
I have the clip, by the way. I found it. Yes, we did the
Christmas show on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And now we're kind of discombobulated. In fact, I found it very uncomfortable to get up to do this show because we just did a show.
I agree. It's
Tuesday.
Very strange.
This was what it would be like if we did 3 shows a week.
Yeah. Yes. I feel we'll get into it, John. I feel discombobulated myself, but here's the clip I was referring to. This is from MSNBC, from Michael Denzel Smith, about the foundation.
We were supposed to have this conversation and deal with this on a national level in the Trayvon Martin instance, and clearly we have not. What does that mean for this country, that we really have not dealt with it?
Well, we have this conversation over and over again. The problem is, one, people come to the conversation with a sort of amnesia and forget that we had it before, and then also that the parameters of the conversation are so narrowly defined as to define racism as a personal hatred towards black people, and we're not then dealing with the systemic ideas that uphold racism and white supremacy in this country, and then lead to a death of a Trayvon Martin or Michael Brown or Renisha McBride or Rakia Boyd, on and on and on and on. What we haven't dealt, what we refuse to deal with, is the idea, the fact that the foundation of this country is racism and white supremacy, and we are all of our institutions uphold that.
Okay.
By the way,
yes.
Does anyone like to maybe note that George Zimmerman was Hispanic? Don't conveniently white.
Yes, don't confuse
for the purposes of the debate.
Yeah, don't
but
confuse
he's
the
Hispanic.
Issue. Yes, he is. So I received an email from producer Richard. Don't know if he's actually a donor. I'm as white on rice and milk during a snowstorm, so perhaps it's not my place to say, which right away just shows you right there he's got some white guilt problems.
There's some exactly. Yeah. People always put the disclaimer at the beginning.
Fuck that.
I don't agree with everything you say.
But both you and John acted as if Mr. Smith had no leg to stand on at his assertion that racism and white supremacy is systemic and the foundation of America. I know you're well versed in the Constitution, which upon review may show that he has at least 3/5 of a leg to stand on. This is the key. Do you know what this is referring to, John?
Yeah, it's referring to the value of the black citizenry have 3/5 of the rights of the ruling classes.
Yeah, well, let me try and set you straight.
Read it.
This refers to Article 1, Section 2 of the Constitution of the United States. And this, I'll read it to you. Representatives and direct taxes shall be apportioned among the several states which may be included within this union according to their respective numbers, which shall be determined by adding to the whole number of free persons, including those bound to service for a term of years, and excluding Indians not taxed, 3/5 of all other persons. And here is how that is interpreted by many people, including this white guilt person. Now, while those free persons may have included some black people, I don't know of the other persons including a single white person. We can argue original intent until the cows come home, and even assuming the best case scenario that our founding fathers wished all people to be equal, but the political and economic realities of the time made it impossible, which I believe it remains that they wrote and signed their names to make it not so. And the way he interprets this 3/5 is a black person, a slave, was only worth 3/5 of free people. And I don't read it that way.
For tax purposes.
Well, tax and voting purposes. And this was very specific, of course, with the founding documents. the North really wanted to abolish slavery, and they wanted to make sure that they didn't have too many votes in the South. And this is why they came up with the so-called 3/5 compromise. The way to properly interpret 3/5 is 3/5 of the total number of other persons, which is very different than saying you're only 3/5 of a person. Do you see the subtle difference?
That's fine. I think you're right. And this guy's just got his. He's you're right. White guilt-soaked character. Now, there's a couple of little gotchas in this that were never discussed, and it's not really in the Constitution. But of course, the Southerners would like to have those black votes as full.
Yes, of course.
Not 3/5 because when the way it worked down in the South, and there's a lot of discussion about this, the black slaveholder owned those votes.
Yes.
And so if he had 100 slaves,
he had 100 extra votes.
101 votes.
Yes. Yeah.
And by the way, women weren't allowed to vote at all during this period. So
who cares? No one talks about that. It's only about the black.
Hell with the women.
To hell with the women. It's only about the blacks. Yeah.
Now, during the debate as to secede from the Union, because of the number of slaveholders, there's only like a very few of them. I think there was like 30,000 in the entire South, but they had enough votes because of their slaves that they could vote. The public at large did not want to have the Civil War. They didn't want to fight.
No.
It was not in their best interests.
No.
They're the ones that would have to go do battle. But the slaveholders, they're the ones that had all these votes. So they voted. They voted. Right. Every state voted for the succession because they had all these. It was a minority, essentially in a minority takeover of the South. Mm-hmm. And then this has been largely forgotten by the public, especially the Southern public, who just were brainwashed into believing whatever they believe and ignore the fact that we should have never had a civil war if it wasn't for these guys.
And so I assert, in fact, with the founding of these documents, the founding of the country, it is exactly the opposite. No one was trying to bake. I like saying bake. No one was trying to put systemic white supremacy and slavery and racism. I'm sorry?
Yes.
They weren't trying. They were trying to avoid that, to get rid of it. It's exactly the opposite. So when I see people walking around with, or certainly blacks with, I'm only 3/5 a person, I find that to be a travesty of the truth.
A travesty of our educational system.
Well, there's that.
Let's get to the real root of this.
Yeah.
Let's talk. We're going to talk about white liberal guilt, unless you have another point to make specific. I want to talk about St. Louis a little bit. Not about modern St. Louis. There's a series on PBS, which is actually, I've been watching occasionally, and I'm baffled by what its messages are. And it's called America Reframed. And they did a whole show on the projects, the Igor, whatever they were called, projects that were in St. Louis that were built in 1949 when the Democrats decided to pass some fair housing legislation in an effort to get rid of America's slums and put projects up. And these were the Democrats behind all this, and there was a lot of debate about whether this was a good idea or not.
Specifically, who was running the show?
Truman was the president.
Okay.
This period.
Right.
And so they passed a bunch of, there's money involved. So you could build projects. And so they built this beautiful set of projects in St. Louis in the 50s. And it was architected by a Japanese. They show the interiors, and it was just fantastic. I mean, in terms of it's like what you get. And they moved these people from the slums that they tore down. They were usually single family dwellings that were hellholes, and without plumbing or anything like that. And they moved them to these places. And eventually the thing caved in on itself because the blacks were expected to pay rent, which they couldn't afford. It was all mostly blacks. There were whites too. And eventually they segregated. But at first it was, probably 2/3 blacks and 1/3 whites. And then they had low rents, and out of the rents they were supposed to maintain the buildings, and there wasn't enough money to do so, and the whole thing fell apart. And just destroyed itself. But there was other elements at play. But first, I want you to play this clip, St. Louis housing opening, and listen for the magic number.
In the middle 50s, St. Louis thought it had solved its low-cost housing needs, but instead, a monster was created.
But things changed quickly. As problems mounted, the decline was steep. Those who could move out did.
12,000 people were originally jammed into these 33 buildings.
Of course. This makes so much sense, doesn't it?
I want to give Eric the shill credit for spotting that one.
Good one. Good.
Now, he played the St. Louis housing prison analogy, and this was the way the welfare state was established by the Democrats for the blacks.
We're giving you money. We want to be able to control you. We're giving you money, so we have the right to make stipulations.
There you go.
As to how you use it and what you use it for. There were so many restrictions. We couldn't have a telephone. We couldn't have a television. And we were really left at the mercy of the system.
In the project, it seemed to be strategically planned to create an environment that people felt isolated, that people felt restricted, that people felt, inhuman almost. You're bad. We have to restrain you. We have to curtail what you're doing. It was void of humanity. It was void of caring. It seemed more like a prison environment that you'd have to escape from.
Now, that was one of the elements. At first, everyone was really pleased to be in these places, and then it started to kind of eat at them. But the clip that I want to play and it's the last clip, that I think is the most interesting, because this was completely unknown to me that this sort of thing was going on, because we're always, especially the liberals, are always bitching and moaning about the black father. He's gone. He's absent.
Right.
He's not there. And it's like there's issues that need to be solved. It's all somehow Republicans.
This is what year?
This is in the 50s.
Look how much has changed.
Now, the Republicans are blamed for all this somehow. I don't know how they managed to do that. But if you really start looking at this, it's the Democrats' fault for everything. That's the way I'm seeing it. Now, I want to play this as the St. Louis housing finale. The information that is revealed in this clip. Now, this place, by the way, was leveled. This is the famous buildings that were blown up. And everyone was, oh, look, that's what public housing is all about. It gets blown up. It's no good. It was blown up in 1960.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Sure.
1969.
Yeah.
All these buildings, boom, boom. They're all just dropped. They're all of them leveled, all 33 of them. And they were all leveled in 69. And this little clip here, which was unknown to me all these years, and I thought was like the most revealing, is, again, the welfare state at work. This is the St. Louis housing finale clip.
The welfare department came to our home. They talked with my mother about moving into the housing project, but the stipulation was that my father could not be with us. They would put us into the housing project only if he left the state. My mother and father discussed it, and they decided that it was best for the 12 children for the father to leave the home. And that's how we got into the projects.
The welfare department had a rule that no able-bodied man could be in the house if a woman received aid for dependent children. If a man lost his job, if he's looking for work, he still had to leave the home. And there was even a night staff of men who worked for the welfare department whose job was to go to the homes of the welfare recipients. And they searched to find if there was a man in the home.
Open up!
Sometimes men came back at night to be with their families. Some were found in the closet hiding.
I remember vividly my mother telling us, if white people come to the house and ask you guys questions, tell them that your father is not here. Tell them that your father has never been here. You have not seen your father. I trusted her. I knew that there was a reason that we had to do this charade, and I participated in the charade. I sat there and looked those people in the eye and told them with the pure earnestness that no, I have not seen my father, and no, my daddy does not live here. And but I knew that I was lying, and that made me wonder, who are these people and how they have the power to make my mother lie?
Wow, this flows right into another clip, because what you're hearing there is exactly the same that children were told I know children who were told this in the Netherlands. If the Germans come to the door, we don't have a radio, and there's no Jews in the basement. Imagine you're 5 years old and you have to say the same thing about, oh, my dad's not here. Here is Ben Carson, the doctor who kind of got in President Obama's face during one of those prayer breakfasts, if you'll recall. He's a black doctor, Republican.
Right, a Republican.
Yeah, and some think hold on a second. I have a weird buzz on my mic. What is going on? Hold on a second. It's been one of those days. What is happening? Can I make it go away? All right, I guess not. He is probably a contender, possibly, for a Republican presidential candidate. Here is the controversial statement he made that he'll talk to Brolf about on CNN.
Very much like Nazi Germany, and I know you're not supposed to say Nazi Germany, but I don't care about political correctness. You had a government using its tools to intimidate the population. We now live in a society where people are afraid to say what they actually believe. And it's because of the PC police, it's because of politicians, it's because of news. It's all of these things are combining to stifle people's conversation.
I would say he's correct.
No, absolutely.
And Brolf, of course, has, if you want to hear a little bit of Brolf.
Yeah, I want to hear Brolf because he'll be all in on the other side.
Explain that, because when I heard the comparison of the United States of America, the greatest country in the world.
The greatest America über alles.
The greatest country ever, to Nazi Germany. I said, what is he talking about?
Well, see, what you were doing is allowing words to affect you more than listening to what was actually being said.
So please explain
and that's part of the problem.
I greatly admire you and what you've done over the years, but to make the comparison of the United States and Nazi Germany, that just struck an awful tone.
It goes on like this. I'll play it until
you have the douchebag clip you can play.
Yeah, I think I got one over here.
Douchebag. There you go.
Well, Nazi Germany experienced something horrible. The people in Nazi Germany largely did not believe in what Hitler was doing. But did they say anything? Of course not. They kept their mouths shut. And there are some very important lessons to be learned there. The fact that our government is using instruments of government like the IRS to...
And that, of course, is the Republican, their mantra, the talking point, which, by the way, turns out to be pretty true.
Yeah,
punish.
It's been done by everybody.
Yeah.
Its opponents.
Certainly by the Nazis. Nice.
This is not the kind of thing that, as far as I'm concerned, is a Democrat or Republican issue. This is an American issue.
All right. And that goes on. I don't think you want to hear all of it.
No, it's fine.
Here is something. Of course, a lot of groups came out and took advantage of this situation in Ferguson. A lot of people talking about the new Black Panther Party, which I don't know too much about. They are not some kind of derivative or new version of the Black Panthers. It's really something different.
No, that's essentially what they call themselves.
Right.
The new Black Panther Party. It's
right.
just like,
right.
Doesn't mean anything.
But since the beginning, and if you look at the Facebook, well, you don't. If you look at the Facebook group, Muslims for Ferguson, here it comes. The Council of American Islamic Relations has had people...
But that's a corrupt operation.
Yes, but they've had a lot of the agents provocateurs, I assert, were from CAIR, the Council of American Islamic Relations, or some subsidiary or whatever, and were part of the looting and part of the burning and the rioting. And if you look at this group, the idea is to do exactly what Ben Carson is kind of protesting against here, is to usher in the same political correctness that Europe has. In Europe, if you say anything about Islam or Muslims, you are immediately deemed an Islamophobe. You have Islamophobia. And the whole idea here is to use your white privilege, your white guilt, to not say anything anymore about anybody. Not about blacks, not about browns, not about yellows, not about Muslims. And they will be taking advantage of this. And if you read this group, here, this is why Ferguson is our issue. This is from the Islamic Monthly. Dear Muslim America, Ferguson is your issue. Ferguson is our issue for a range of reasons that go well beyond passive commitment to civil rights or symbolic solidarity. Muslim Americans are bound to Ferguson and the shrill demand calling for an end to state-sponsored and structural violence against black America that reverberates from its embattled streets. You understand where it's going.
Yeah.
It is uber political correctness, and everybody's falling for it. And it's
well, even one of our producers or listeners,
several, John. Believe me, it's really deeply embedded, and this is where Facebook becomes interesting. You just scroll through, you say everybody, "Oh, I'm so ashamed. Oh, this is horrible," and they're really missing. And of course, the administration.
Why is anybody outside of the local community ashamed?
Because they're mind controlled.
This is a local issue that should have stayed a local issue.
I understand, but you're not debating me on that. We know that, but this is because it's being propagandized, and people are being told that this is horrible, and you need to believe that you have all these rights, and we need to kumbaya, and please vote Democrat. I think that's ultimately.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, that is what this is all about.
Although I will say, there's always a Hollywood angle.
He's got supporters. Detroit, New York, Los Angeles, inciting large-scale arrests and sympathy marches.
I'm very aware of that, Mr. Hoover. What I do know is he's nonviolent. What I need to know right now, what's Martin Luther King about to do next?
This is the movie Selma, which is coming out in January 2015. One Dream Can Change the World, produced by, amongst others, Oprah Winfrey. Storyline, Martin Luther King, Lyndon Baines Johnson, civil rights marches that changed America. I think it's right on schedule.
Yeah.
It's a long way to go.
Whitey. Why don't they change the movie to Hate Whitey? Thanks, Oprah. Good work.
I can actually see the meeting. Was like, hey, but we might have to kill some people to promote this movie. Whatever.
It's for the greater good.
It's really, really very disturbing. I want to play a bit of this, an alternative voice, which I don't think got any real airplay. And what is the political manager for Russell Simmons doing on TV? Have you seen this guy? It's some white guy. And he's Russell Simmons.
No, Russell Simmons isn't a white guy.
No, Russell Simmons is not on. It's his political.
It's his manager.
And this white guy is speaking on behalf of Russell Simmons. This is what's so great. And he's on the evenings, mornings, on everywhere.
That's ludicrous.
Yeah. This is
it's crazy.
And I can't take the guy seriously. This is Sheriff David Clark from Milwaukee. Let's see. Is this going to play?
The last thing I want to talk about, and I wasn't scared.
This was at the National Press Club in D.C. No coverage as far as I could tell.
We'll talk about this. This is important. Someone mentioned Eric Holder. And
I might point out he's black.
I'm known for not sugarcoating things. This pissed me off.
A smattering of applause.
I sat up and watched as the events unfold in Ferguson, Missouri. Unfortunate situation, obviously. Anytime a law enforcement officer uses force and takes a life, it deserves a thorough, transparent vetting, investigation. We all kind of agree with that. But then some groups started to converge on the small town of Ferguson, Missouri, like vultures on a roadside carcass. Groups like the new Black Panther Party, people like Al Sharpton, to come and exploit that situation, and instead of coming in to help and try to restore calm, poured gas on that fire with some of their inflammatory and irresponsible rhetoric. And I sat up there and listened to Governor Nixon, and I sat up there and listened to Claire McCaskill, the senator. And then I sat up there and listened to Eric Holder throw law enforcement officers under the bus for political expediency. These are the same individuals at election time that come around wanting support from law enforcement organizations, right? They all stand up there. I'm supported by this fraternal organization and this police association, and I've received an excellent rating by the... They do that when they need us. But now there was an opportunity to improve their bona fides with some of these interest groups like the new Black Panther Party, to flaunt their racial sensitivity and threw law enforcement under the bus. I expect that from Governor Nixon.
Do you want to hear more?
Yeah, no, I'm listening.
I don't want you to get bored. That's all. Just
There's
tell me.
a couple. If I'm bored, I'm going to tell you that. I think.
That's why I wanted to make sure. Yeah, you wanted.
Well, you don't have to check in.
Yeah, I do check.
Just wait for me to jump in saying, this is boring.
I expected that from Claire McCaskill.
Did you want to say something before I continue?
No, I'm listening. The governor he's talking about, I believe, is a Democrat. And this is the only confusing thing about this whole deal. And McCaskill's a Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing that baffles me is the Democrat element on the other side of this debate. Doesn't make sense if it's all about just making everyone into a Democrat. But anyway, play on, and I'll maybe think about why I'm so confused.
He is indeed a Democrat. I'm just checking here.
Yes.
Those are nothing but two-bit politicians. They do that sort of. That's what politicians do. You know that. But I did not expect that from Eric Holder, who calls himself a law enforcement officer. And instead of talking responsibly, instead of measuring his words, because that's what's needed at a time like that, you got to measure what you say, because tensions are high, and the wrong thing said can make a bad situation worse. And he sat up there and talked about how he has seen law enforcement officers profile. He's been the victim of racial profiling himself. And
this is an interesting story.
He named two situations. One in a traffic stop in New Jersey, and he said, I remember feeling the indignation as they searched my vehicle. And then he talked about a situation when he was in Georgetown, not too far from here, and how he and a friend were stopped on the way to the movie theater, and they felt that they were racially profiled. And he said, I was a federal prosecutor when those things happened. And I said, wait a minute. Mr. Attorney General, if you felt those officers had violated your Fourth Amendment rights and you're a federal prosecutor and you didn't say anything at the time, on behalf of everybody in the United States, you could have done something if you felt that. You could have made a complaint. Because all of us kind of realize in law enforcement, right, we testify. What do they say in court? If you didn't write it down, if you didn't report it, it didn't happen. And that's what I was thinking. Oh, really, Mr. Attorney General? You didn't report it then. You didn't write it down, but you're telling us some 10, 15 years later for self-serving purposes.
That would seem correct to me. That's exactly what's going on. I think that's a nice catch there by the sheriff.
Holder's a douchebag.
Oh, in fact, we'll just give him a little
douchebag. Boom shakalaka. Boom shakalaka.
I'm sorry?
Gun runner. Whatever happened to that guy in Chicago, by the way? We do have to do follow-up once in a while.
Oh, the Mexican, the drug guy? The drug guy, yeah. We should follow that up.
Yeah, we need to follow up on that.
Anyway, in the show notes, there'll be links to, you should definitely listen and watch the, if you haven't seen the Charles Barkley, what he has to say. And he calls Obama and Holder literally race baiters. And it's very strong. It's really, really strong, the stuff that he's saying. And I'm happy about that. But I think the public at large are just all in. Oh, yeah, it's horrible. Yeah.
And Barkley's just Barkley.
Yeah.
Anyone's he's always
just Barkley. Exactly.
The public's all in. Yeah.
So those are the things to look out for. But I find it sad. I really find it sad. It's just sad. And the saddest thing is that all these people, like, you can't have a conversation with anybody anymore. Say, well, this is, it's a horrible white privilege. I have guilt. Like the guy from Common Core. Oh, I have to rewrite educational material because I had white privilege. And therefore, we have to lower the standards for everybody.
It's borderline clip of the month.
It's just so.
Let's make everything stupid because I had white privilege. This logic is beyond me.
It's so sad.
Yeah.
But I love now how they're bringing the Cosby thing in now. And this is going to be very interesting. Then we have, what is that? How does that fit into it? I think it's just to blow our heads up. Your brain just implodes.
Well, no, I think it's because Cosby is essentially portrayed as a white privileged black.
Yeah, good point. It just accentuates it because he was.
You might as well get him out of the way. Not that he may have done. We've talked about that. Mimi and I talked about this because it was her thesis about, if you're a comic, you
can get laid no matter what. Yeah,
get laid no matter what. So what's the deal? And so it came to mind. I don't want to. This sounds a little gruesome, or a little. I'm going to go a little bit to some people, some listeners. This may be a little off color. But let's play this clip, Cosby's latest story.
Comedian Bill Cosby is facing his first lawsuit resulting from the new wave of allegations over the drugging, rape.
What? Sorry?
He's had 3 lawsuits that he settled out of court.
Rape and sexual assault of more than 20 women. Plaintiff Judy Huff is suing Cosby for allegedly molesting her 40 years ago when she was 15 years old. The suit claims Cosby forced her to perform a sex act on him without her consent. Her complaint says the incident has caused, quote, psychological damage and mental anguish in the decades since. It comes one day after Cosby resigned from the Board of Trustees of Temple University amidst mounting claims from women who have come forward to accuse him of being a sexual predator.
And I'm going to have to, before we go off color, so to speak, it feels to me like this has been planted at this very moment to get this going for the reasons you just said, because Cosby is seen as a white privileged guy. All right, over to you.
Yeah, sometimes we maybe go overboard with our analysis, but I think that's potentially the case. Well, let's back up. And the latest woman, and I don't know if it's this one, but the one she was on on MSNBC or one of these shows, and she was yakking away about the same thing, a forced oral sex, I guess. But then they asked her the question, were you drugged and ever drugged in the? And yes, apparently the main thing that was going on, a lot of this oral sex and all this other stuff, which seems to be ancillary, and they just throw it in there. I'm not even sure any of that is actually true, but the drugging seems to be a consistent.
Yes, a
consistent pattern.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I was dry. I woke up in the morning. I woke up. He was, taking my panties down, putting them up. We don't know. Whatever the case was, you don't wake up. These women were bitching the next day about. There are a group of people in the world that are necrophiliacs, and there was a book
of all the things. All right, yeah, I'm with you. Yes, Jimmy Savile, hit me with it.
Now, there's a lot of people out there that are Jimmy Savile, I don't know if he's a necrophiliac, but there's a lot of. In fact, there was a discussion.
Yes, that was one of the main topics that he went to.
Nobody talks about this. You can look it up and deal with it in your own time. But whatever the case is, nobody likes to talk about this. There was a very famous guy who was indicted for almost killing his wife with an overdose of something or other, insulin, I believe. And there was a biography written. This is where this comes from, where I got this concept, and Mimi agrees with me. And the concept comes from this. There was a book that was in New York City, about to be published. It went through the lawyers, and in the book, they accused the guy who kept knocking his wife for a loop, and then I guess having sex with her, of being a necrophiliac because he was part of a sex club, and there were plenty of sex clubs, especially in the 70s and 80s in New York. Before AIDS came along, which ended all these sex clubs, there was a number of open sex clubs, and there was a necrophiliac club, or maybe more than one.
I remember you've talked about this, yeah.
The supposed guy who ran it was Tennessee Williams, the playwright. This was all in this book.
I'm writing this down. Wait, hold on. What is the name of this book?
Why did I find out about this? Because I had one of the editors of one of the big publishing companies, who's a friend of mine to this day, tell me that this was the big buzz in the publishing community in New York, because every publisher knew about this information, but it was kind of like the crazy information you get when you're in the news business or if you're in the publishing business that just doesn't make it into the book because the lawyers say no. Well, when I thought about the Necrophiliac Club, which was apparently met every Wednesday, once a month or something like that, at a mortuary. And then they would have the bodies that they thought were appealing lined up, and then these guys would go at it. And it's a disgusting thing to talk about. But it seems to me that Cosby may be, and if anybody's not going to talk about something because there's something worse to talk about, if you're going to be like just a rapist, that's one thing. But if you're going to be a necrophiliac, the potential for really the humiliation is extreme. And I don't know. I'm just saying that you add 2 and 2, and this is what it sounds like to me. Now, you want to have sex with somebody that it has no resistance whatsoever. And I think, by the way, these people who like to roofie women are borderline necrophiliacs themselves. Yeah. It's fairly sick.
Yeah.
What kind of an experience is that?
We should try it and find out.
I'm not going to try it.
Okay, I remember you've told this story on the show before, many years ago about the club,
about the
book and the club. What is the name of this book? Do you remember?
It was one of the biographies of Klaus von Bülow.
Yes. Oh man, it's coming back to me.
And I think they offhandedly accused him of being a member. Well, there's no proof of any of this. And everybody's dead, except von Bülow is an old man living somewhere, I don't know where. I ran into him once at
a club in New York, by any chance?
Oh, yeah, right. I was at some dinner at some restaurant, and somebody said, and I wasn't really too familiar with this, whoever, I can't remember who I was with, they said, Klaus von Bülow is sitting right behind you. And I
act like you're alive.
And I turned right around.
Yeah. Well, what? You did one of those? Just to come back, Jimmy Savile has been accused by Paul Gambaccini, who was a fellow BBC radio presenter, of being a necrophiliac.
Oh, okay.
And he was in all these hospitals all the time with the kids. He'd be with the kids, and then he'd go over to the morgue, and
it's the most disgusting imaginable person.
Yeah.
A children. God. Yeah. It's not even, it's like borderline crazy.
Yeah.
If you think about it. Duh.
Yeah. I know.
But anyway, that isn't something to discuss. And this is the kind of dinner discussion we have at our house.
Well, I love that you say, Mimi agrees, which means it must be true.
I mean, I say that because I need some backup. You're not going to say anything.
We need a jingle for this. Necrophiliac! Just a thought.
I think there's probably more of them out there than we'd like to imagine.
Boom shakalaka, boom shakalaka, boom shakalaka, and boom shakalaka.
And with that, I'd like to thank you for your courage and say, in the morning to you, John C., where the C stands for corpse, Dvorak.
Oh, very funny.
It just came to me.
Yeah, you're a laugh riot.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in the morning to you, Adam Curry, and also in the morning to all the ships at sea, boots on the ground, feet in the air, subs in the water, and all the dames and knights out there.
And in the morning to the human resources who are in the chat room and listening to us on the stream. We stream live at noagendastream.com every Thursday and Sunday at 1600 UTC. I'm trying to...
Are you sure that's right? You get your UTC watch?
I sure do. I saw in the plane brochure, the in-flight shopping thing, there was an actual UTC watch.
No.
Yes.
For idiots?
you had the UTC time and then whatever other time you want to set it to, a dual. But it said...
There's a lot of dual-face watches. You can send them to anything
I know, but it said UTC, and it was titled a UTC watch. It was kind of funny. I also want to thank all of our artists. Baron Nussbaum scored 2 in a row.
Yeah, he did.
Which is fantastic.
Yeah, like we're short art. I mean, all of a sudden, since the new system's in place, we're only getting... So we used to get like 20 pieces occasionally. Now we're getting 4.
I think it was
Would
less.
Some of the artists tell us why they're not submitting out of the blue for unknown reasons?
I think it was even... I thought it was 3. It wasn't even 4. Let me see. This is the...
It was 4.
Okay.
Pretty sure.
So Baron Nussbaum had the kind of the Angry Bird. This was the Bird Bomb.
Yes, I thought that was
a nice piece.
I pushed for that one because I thought it was hilarious because of the bird bomb reference.
I liked it a lot.
It was the right bird. It was this. If you play Angry Birds a lot, you recognize that bird.
Do you play Angry Birds a lot?
I used to, yeah.
And of course,
boring after a while.
Yeah. Of course.
Well, we do have a few people to thank for show 675. 4. Starting with Chris Eisbach, or Sir Chris Bach, in Cheshire, Connecticut, 43210. Listen, what I want to say is this. The No Agenda Show is the best podcast in the universe, right? This is a countdown to my 44th birthday, December 5th. Sir Chris Back of the No Agenda Brewers Guild and FEMA Region 1.
Yes, and of course, December 5th is also St. Nicholas Day in the Netherlands, which he then shares with the Black Peats.
The Black Peats,
Oh, yeah.
which is also part of the conversation we're currently having.
Of course.
In an attempt to create a race war to turn the blacks, make sure the blacks stay in the Democrat Party.
Is that the only thing?
Black Pete!
Or is it to screw up Europe as well?
Oh, yeah. Well, Europe needs screwing up.
Yeah.
Sebastian Lissick in Seattle, Washington, $350 in the morning, John and Adam. I've sadly not donated to the greatest show in the universe for over a year, and I'm now amending the outrage of my ways with this donation. I would love a mention of my brilliant radio dramatization of the Epic of Gilgamesh. Available at, I'm a big radio play fan. I actually, I actually written a couple of radio plays when I was taking broadcasting.
Really?
And I like radio plays, and I have a huge collection.
Have you listened to the Serial podcast?
No. Available at, I'm a big talker. Available at chompatoga.com. Chompatoga. Chompatoga. Without podcasts like your own, I would have never had the inspiration to pursue my own creative audio endeavors.
Yo.
I would like to request an Atlas Shrugged, followed by a douchebag. Atlas Shrugged.
By Ayn Rand.
Douchebag. Brian. Plain old Brian in St. Louis, Missouri. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Thanks for continuing the excellent analysis. The correlation between the Keystone Pipeline and Ferguson definitely has a stench to it. Please give me a Reverend Al Resist We Much, a Bush Shysters, if you can find it, and Obama's O-Team theme. Note, sending an email with more notes on Ferguson. Okay.
I'm looking for Shysters. I don't think... Shysters? Did we ever have that one?
Yeah. Shysters come and they try to steal your money.
Let me do one quick look.
Just send your cash.
Well, we have the cash. Oh, is that what he means? Just send your cash? Is that the one?
No, it says the word shysters. Shysters.
I don't know if it's in. Let's see.
Send your cash.
We just need cash. I know a lot of people want to send blankets or water. Just send your cash.
See, that's cash. That's not the same thing.
No, it's a different one. You had it. You used to use it, and you just dropped it, and you just carried it down to that one.
But resist we much. We must and we will much about that be committed.
If there's a need for a rescue mission, when the world is threatened, when the world needs help, it calls on America. And that's the story.
Yeah. Sorry.
Curiously, similar request from Sir Don Tommaso di Toronto, 34567, with the same exact amount in Kettleby, Ontario. Another small contribution for the best podcast in the universe. May I kindly request was Boom Shakalaka, followed by That's the Story and Karma.
So he just wants...
Send an email with seasonal attachment.
Okay. He means was, not was.
Bingo, boom, boom, shakalaka, boom, 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 shakalaka, boom, boom.
And that's the story.
You've got karma.
All right. Hello, got it.
Sir David
Oops. Hold on a second. We just start. We do the always stand by. Always start with that one. Where's my? I need to have the Foley things are just not convenient. Here we go. Here is. Yeah.
Citizens and slaves of Gitmo Nation, please rise in recognition of Sir David Foley, Grand Duke of the United States of America. Fuck yeah.
Sir David Foley in Los Gatos, the Lost Cat, or the Cat's Meow in 33333. ITM gentlemen, sorry for the late donation, but I've reached comms signal. I've just reached comms signal. Hopefully this helps with the post-Thanksgiving lull. Thanks for continuing to deliver.
Oh, he didn't have comms. He was out of I think he has a new house somewhere. The internet wasn't set up.
Oh, well, he was probably lost a signal. Thanks for the continuing to deliver the best podcast in the universe.
I'll give him a little bit of karma. The Grand Duke deserves it.
You've got karma.
Very nice.
Sergei Natuliev in Austin, Texas.
Baron de Marriott, the sheriff of the Earl of Texas.
And he is looking at your house on the telescope as we speak.
I think my wife is actually with him right now as we speak.
He's where?
Mickey went to
doing more lighting?
I guess. I don't know. He said,
thanks to all the Kickstarter supporters for the Decadent Minimalist Wallet. You will be receiving your custom engraved No Agenda Edition wallet soon. Wallets are done. There were 37 NA limited editions sold for a total sponsorship of $333.30. Please say the following in the podcast. Thanks to all the Kickstarter supporters for the Decadent Minimalist Wallet. You will be receiving your custom engraved. Well, you just said this. And I'll put a few people that missed the Kickstarter now. Wallet's now sold at Bitly. We'll put it in the show notes. More DM1, all lowercase.
Yeah. This will be in the show notes where you
Bitly / more DM1.
It's kind of cool. It has this. It's like I think it's 8 cards, and it says it's metal. No agenda's engraved on it, and you slide the cards in.
Nice.
Yeah, it is very nice actually. Let me put this in the show notes.
That he's doing something besides lighting nudes
or whatever.
Dave Dadouche, 23456 in Malibu, California. Want to thank you as usual for your excellent deconstruction. I want to thank the No Agenda listeners. This is our movie producer. We went to see the film Aftermath in New York after having a successful run, and people have been saying in the morning at the box office to get their discount. Just do that everywhere. The movie is
just walk into Macy's in the morning.
The movie is over. The movie is opening tomorrow on December 5th in Los Angeles at the Lemingtown Center. That's LAEMMIE in Encino. Our $5 discount applies to all No Agenda listeners. For anyone who says in the morning at the box office, please enjoy the movie, of which I'm the composer and one of the producers. Aftermath is a metaphor for corporate America run amok. I will keep tweeting the information on Aftermath along with pieces of the music, and hopefully it will be retweeted on the No Agenda site. Much love to the No Agenda listeners, from you and John and Adam, and for creating such an amazing community.
The community kind of created itself.
So feel free to pick out your favorite two and send karma out to all the douchebags out there that one day I'm sure will donate to the show because it ultimately feels so good.
All right. It is dealer's choice.
Yeah. How about the George Bush saying
saying shysters?
Shysters. No, let's try some. I don't know what else to pick. How about, let's pick my old favorite, the Calypso song.
Yeah, you have to do 2. Calypso was 1.
Okay, Calypso 1, and the Italian girl is a douchebag call out or whatever, or slave call out.
Oh, okay. Sabi, the shut up slave.
Yeah.
Okay, and a karma. You got it.
Ebola. We come from Africa, diarrhea.
Shut up, slave.
You've got karma.
Little steppage.
Okie dokie. Downward. Ian Wood.
This is a drunk donation, by the way.
Oh, is it? Ingleby Barwick, UK. We got if he's UK, it's probably drunk. Where does it say he's drunk?
In the original note, it said he was drunk.
You boys have overloaded me. I've gained and lost so many friends since I started listening to you. You have allowed me to converse with royalty and generals. You have given an introverted personality a voice at the table, and more importantly, a voice against my well-educated sister.
Now that's a good tool.
It's a very good tool. He had an introverted personality because he didn't have it. No Agenda's given it to him. John, you are so anti-British. And now I get it. America has to become a monster to beat the monster, the very thing it defeated at the Battle of Yorktown. America is the very ideal we all so much want to believe that reality, boys, whatever it takes. I don't know. Am I anti-British? Do you ever get that impression? I don't think
not
so.
necessarily. No.
Tonight, walking back to my digs with a young, influential Northeasterner, we debated UKIP with the local population and all things no agenda. I played him the ringtone WTC7.
Which has nothing to do with UKIP.
He got it, as did so many others, and was smacked in the mouth, and off he went and subscribed to the No Agenda podcast. Please play That's Life as you're out tuned tonight. As many people think about cutting themselves out and rolling up in a big ball and dying. To Adam, your time is nigh. Howard Beale style. John, you have a decision to make with your mainstream friends. We much. LGY, Alice shrugged, and her head is gone.
Hold on a second. For some reason, Eric cut off the beginning of this note because I saw it and I forwarded it to him. Then he said, and starts off by saying he's drunk and listening to Sinatra singing That's Life. I don't know why it got cut out.
So who knows?
I'm not so sure I'm happy with the Howard Beale comparison. Doesn't he get, like,
killed?
He gets
killed.
Not so sure I like that.
By Ayn Rand.
And her head is gone. You've got karma.
All right, thank you very much.
Yes, again, the random number theory is at work with the Atlas Shrugged 2 out of the blue.
I know, it's time. It's just time again. I don't know how that works.
And that concludes our group of well-wishers and producers, associate executive producers for show 675. And we want to remind you, we do have a short period of time before Sunday. Show 676, which is a palindrome. Yeah, 676 palindrome.
You always want to take advantage of the palindrome.
And make sure you go to Dvorak.org/NA, or if you have to, you can go to channeldvorak.com/NA. And the NoAgendaShow.com and NoAgendaNation.com websites both have links to a backup donation site.
We will be thanking the rest of our producers later on in the show. These are executive and associate executive producers. These are the people who get mentioned up front. Real credits, valid wherever they're accepted, and unlike the phonies in Hollywood, we will vouch for you.
Dvorak.org/NA.
Drunk or drunk, if you're going to smack him or hit him, please go out and propagate the formula.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
Shut up, slave.
Shut up, slave.
Did you see the State of the Union?
No, I did not. I've been in the State of the Union.
President Vladimir Putin held his State of the Union this morning.
Okay.
And I have a little bit of audio if you want to hear it. I can read a bit. It's still being transcribed. It kind of happened right at the very end there. Not enough time to really get everything into the show. Let me just play this, typical Vladimir style. Oh, a second, where are we? Oh, one of those days.
He's condemning us again?
Here we go. It's about an hour and a half, so there's a lot to it. This, of course, is the translated version.
The Russian army is state of the arms. It is combat. It has military capacity. It is polite, as people say, and we will have enough courage and will, if need be. We will continue to stand up for global diversity. We will continue to bring truth to people across the border, so that everybody would see a true image of Russia, undistorted. We will actively promote humanitarian, scientific, cultural contacts and relations, even in a situation when certain governments are trying to erect something like a new Iron Curtain around Russia.
A lot of this
State of the Arms. This is a terrible translator.
Yes.
State of the Arms.
Yeah, state of the art.
Polite. Whatever.
A couple of things that I'll just read.
Before you go there,
I just wanted to read a couple things from his State of the Union.
Okay, well, read from that, because there's another curious thing taking place at the same time, exact same time as this speech.
A referendum, he talks to his comrades. A referendum was held in Crimea in March, in which its residents clearly expressed a desire to join Russia. After that, the Crimean parliament, it should be stressed it was a legitimate parliament that was elected back in 2010, adopted a resolution of sovereignty. So he's setting the record straight a little bit. Here is the part about...
Yeah, that makes a huge difference.
No, it makes no difference. But he
of course.
At least you're hearing it on this show. No, you're not going to hear anything about this from anybody else.
Happened.
He's now about Ukraine. How did it all begin? I will have to remind you what happened back then. It's hard to believe that it all started with a technical decision by President Yanukovych to postpone the signing of the association agreement between Ukraine and the European Union. Make no mistake, he did not refuse to sign the document, but only postponed it in order to make some adjustments. As you recall, this move was fully in line with the constitutional authority vested upon an absolutely legitimate and internationally recognized head of state. Against this background, there was no way we could support this armed coup, the violence and the killings. Just take the bloody events in Odessa where people were burned alive, and no one talks about that anymore.
No.
How did the dialogue on this issue between Russia and its American and European partners start? I mentioned our American friends for a reason, since they are always influencing Russia's relations with its neighbors, either openly or behind the scenes. Sometimes it is even unclear whom to talk to, the governments of certain countries or directly with their American patrons and sponsors. He's kind of calling us out a little bit there.
No kidding.
Just a little bit.
Another thing that you only hear on No Agenda.
So what came out of... I'm skipping ahead. What came out of all of it? The agreement between Ukraine and the European Union has been signed and ratified, but the implementation of the provisions regarding trade and economy has been postponed until the end of the year. Doesn't this mean that we were the ones who were actually right all along? What has this actually done for Ukraine? In fact, the economy, finance, and the social sector were destroyed and the country ruined. And then it goes into some of the money that they supported Ukraine with, and Gazprom. I'll read this for a second. Last year, let me reiterate that Russian banks already invested some $25 billion in Ukraine. Last year, Russia's finance ministry extended a loan worth another $3 billion. Gazprom provided another $5.5 billion to Ukraine and even offered a discount, that no one promised, requiring the country to pay only $4.5 billion. Add it all up and you get as much as $32.5 billion that were provided recently only by Russia. For some European countries, national pride is a long-forgotten concept and sovereignty is too much of a luxury. True sovereignty for Russia is absolutely necessary for survival. There's your revisionist, Putin revisionist Russia. Now, in the backdrop of this, something very interesting happened. There was an announcement. Let me just bring this up in my show notes. A political announcement in Ukraine, which I thought was just hilarious. The new finance minister here, name is Natalie Jaresko, who is a United States citizen, was granted a Ukrainian citizenship overnight to become the finance minister.
Well, there's more to it than that if you play the clip.
Oh, you have a clip. Yeah, well, hold on. Where's which one?
Under Ukraine.
Ukrainian citizenship. Good.
The Ukraine's president promising Ukrainian citizenship to foreign nationals.
The president of Ukraine, Petro Poroshenko, made an astonishing announcement on Twitter on Tuesday, December 2nd. The head of state said he would be granting Ukrainian citizenship to any foreign national coming to Ukraine to fight Russian repression.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and then, of course, if you play part two, there's a little, I think that's really kind of the key to understanding this.
And he's already starting to put his words into action. In a second tweet, Petro Poroshenko named 3 foreign nationals who were given Ukrainian citizenship on Tuesday for services rendered to the country. American woman Natalie Jaresko, a Lithuanian man Avaras Abramovicius, and Alexandra Kivachvili from Georgia weren't just given Ukrainian citizenship, they were also appointed to top government positions.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, my interpretation of this is that the Ukrainian system is still so corrupt.
Yeah.
That they can't trust Ukrainians for any of these jobs, and they're just letting these people come in from the outside. And, of course, they bring a Georgian in, which I think is kind of telling, because that's what I don't know who this guy is. I'd like to look him up. I just got this clip, so I didn't get to do that. But I wonder what he had to do with the Russian-Georgia kind of conflagration that took place. Conflagration.
I can tell you about Natalie Jaresko.
Yeah,
managing a founding partner, Horizon Capital. She is now the finance minister with an overnight citizenship. They have 280 million, not a big, it's a small fund, actually. But she is a member of the U.S.-Ukraine Business Council, USUBC. Who do you think funds that outfit?
State Department?
USAID, close enough. So this is, it's crazy. It's so obvious what's going on. Hey, we're going to put our guys in.
Yeah.
And please, just
USAID State Department. We never, then that all that money the Russians loan them, it's going into our wallet.
Yeah. Hey, John.
Good work, Putin. Thanks.
John, are we good or what?
Oh, yeah. We're the best. Of course, it always ends up being rubble at the end of the day.
Of course.
But it doesn't, it's the way it is. It was going to be that way anyway, I think, is to be the way you think about it. It's going to end up that way anyway.
Yeah. Of course, the big news coming out of Ukraine and Russia is the surprising announcement to stop the South Stream pipeline and the switcheroo now moving it into Turkey. This is a very, very interesting development. And of course, we talk a lot about, or certainly have talked a lot about pipelines. It's one of my hobbies. And you really have to, do you want to look at a map? I have a map actually for you. If you want map. I got a good map. Go to itm.im / what did I put this under? You'd think it would be map. Hold on.
Here, I got all the ones we've had. So Foley Kids, Cadence, Director, Ebola Kid.
No, that's not it.
Buffer.
No, it's a new one. It's a new one. I have a new one.
I would assume.
Yes. Let me just, why can't I'm drawing. I'm not doing well today.
I told you it's because of the Tuesday show.
It sucks.
That's what would be, every show would be like this.
If we did 3 shows a week, you mean?
Yeah, the 3 shows a week thing was not a good idea from the get-go.
Let me see, itm.im, to see if my browser remembers what it was. Well, there you go. There you go. I really don't remember what it was. So sorry.
Okay. Tell us then.
Well, it's a good man. You have to see the pipeline. So it's going from Russia through the Caspian Sea, to the Black Sea, to the south of Crimea. And instead of hitting land in Bulgaria, now you recall we were talking, Bulgaria has all kinds of crap going on. They're the ones that were told by the EU, you better not have that South Stream coming on shore through your country. And we were looking at some possible regime change. They had to close the banks for 3 days. All kinds of little things were taking place. So that has now been killed. And all they're doing now is going straight down with there'll be the same pipeline. Just instead of turning westward into Bulgaria, it's going to go straight down into Turkey and will then enter the European Union via Greece, which, as you know, the Russians bought up a lot of those assets when Greece was pretty much
broke.
Yeah,
when they were up for sale.
Right. So this is still going to help the gas get into Europe, but I think really the EU is the big.
See this map. Find it.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe I can just give you a link.
See, there's a long clip I can play in the meantime.
I don't know how. Let me just see if it's further down here. I can give you a link to it. Hold on. I think. Maybe not. Sorry, John. I don't have it. I put it in there. I made a URL shortener, and I just can't find it. But you can go look for South Stream pipeline map.
How about South Stream pipeline redirected?
I don't know about that. Let me continue. The original pipelines that was going through the Black Sea, come ashore in Bulgaria, that got thwarted by the EU. So now they're looking at a Turkish gas hub. And this is what is happening now. So Erdogan had a meeting with Putin, and he's talking a lot of crap, really. The BOTAS, which is the Turkish-owned crude oil and gas transit and trading company, had cut a deal with Gazprom, and this is kind of funny the way they did that. Said, okay, we'll have a new pipeline going into the new the Turkish gas hub, and it will carry 63 billion cubic meters of gas annually.
So it's going to now be called the Blue Stream. North Stream, South Stream, Blue Stream. Okay.
And that, of course, is the exact same amount of capacity that the South Stream was supposed to carry.
Oh, wait, I take it back.
It's not the Blue Stream.
Another pipeline
Yes,
south of the new South Stream.
No. Now, here's what's competing. The U.S. is competing. We have a couple of ways to work this. One is we have the Leviathan field in the Mediterranean, which, of course, Noble Energy is developing on behalf of Israel, and they're building the pipeline up to either Cyprus and or into Italy. So we'll win on that. Then there's the Trans-Adriatic pipeline. This is Azerbaijan to Italy via the Balkans. So it's really going to be a race, but the funny thing is Europe gets completely screwed in this deal. Completely.
How's that?
How's that? Because now you have another player in the middle. You've got Turkey in the middle. And let me tell you, here's some of the things.
Yeah, and it's going to be pretty hard to bomb the pipeline while it's in Turkey.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to give you some of the words that Erdogan has been using. He's talking big game there. Let's see how we have it here. So Erdogan made a joke with when he was doing this announcement with Putin. He said, "Hey, what we'd like to do is we'd like to join the Shanghai Cooperative Organization. If you let us in there, we don't need the West." And he said it kind of offhandedly, like a joke. He said the Shanghai Five is better and more powerful than the West, and we have common values with them. And this, of course, it's
not much of a joke, it seems to me.
Well, it's reported as a joke. Wink, wink, nudge,
I think we're
nudge.
going to start seeing some interesting situations.
I think some regime change is in order.
Don't forget, we tried this once
with Erdogan,
with that event, the park. They tried to tear down a park, and the next thing you know, the whole country's on fire. So we tried it, and then Erdogan rousted all the troublemakers.
Yeah.
And in the process, of course, he's also took side with ISIL against the West.
Also,
he's I think he's like a Hugo Chavez. He's seen the light of the danger of working with us, and I think he's going to saddle up with the Russians. This is interesting. This will change geopolitics in that region time. To an extreme.
And by coincidence, last night, the U.S. Embassy in Ankara said it had received reports that extremist groups may be planning an attack against a Syrian opposition group in southeastern Turkish city of Gaziantep. So, this is what you get. You don't play ball with us, you get like terrorist attacks. Shitty things start to happen to you. But
things happen.
But keep your eye on the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. We've talked about these guys before. They are more than just a drinking club. Putin said, "We will ask Turkey what they can do. They have great experience in EU talks." You see, this is now Turkey will never be in the EU. But to have a NATO member jump into bed with Putin while all this is taking place, this has got to be
a nightmare.
It's got to be a problem. It's got to be a problem here. In January, Erdogan said, if we get into the SCO, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, you should look this up. We've talked about it before. If we get into the SCO, we will say goodbye to the European Union. And that's where he said the Shanghai Five is better, much more powerful. Pakistan wants in, India wants in as well. If the SCO wants us, all of us will become members of this organization. And we have common values with them. This is not chicken shit language.
What are the common values he's talking about?
China. Sell stuff to China. That would be the common value. Yeah.
Here it is. Wait a minute. This is I don't know. Now it's embarrassing because this actually is something we could have caught last year.
Well, we've been talking about this whole thing continuously. That Turkey is going to be the hub.
The SCO.
Yes, we've talked about the SCO specifically.
Turkey renews plea. He renews the plea in December to join the last December 13. During a trip to Russia, Turkish Prime Minister once again said that Ankara would abandon its quest to join. This is okay. I think we saw this as just putting pressure on the EU to get in. They're never going to get in the EU. The EU's crazy. NATO's nuts to have these guys, but they need them for flyover purposes. I mean, the big deal about Turkey is flyover. You got to fly over Turkey to just about do anything in the Middle East.
Yep. We've talked about, let's see.
Well, we could have talked about it, but it's beside the point. We're talking about it now.
Yeah. So if they're going to be the gas hub and their main mission is to sell to the Chinese, but they will now be the chokehold for the gas to the EU, and come on. And of course,
you can be sure that,
regime change, as you have pointed out, is going to be.
You can buy the gas from us, but you also must buy a rug.
I'll write that down. Good one. So I think this is not
get that joke.
Yeah, I think this is not insignificant in the grand scheme of things. It's actually mind-boggling.
Well, what's Putin supposed to do?
I think he's made a brilliant decision here. Brilliant. And now, of course, we don't need any of these. We were looking at Hungary because Hungary was also a possible.
He gets all these guys off the hook.
It was a possible connection.
Also screws them out of whatever money they could make for transport fees and right of ways.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Now I find it. I find it kind of nice. I find it interesting to watch. We knew that something was going to happen with Turkey, and the only thing our guy Gulen failed of trying to overturn everything.
Well, he's not dead.
Well, that's the only thing that's left is.
So there was always another possibility.
And there's also, what else do we have? I think that's about it. Israel sees stars align for new gas pipelines to Europe. That, of course, is the Leviathan. Everyone's going to be building lickety-split to get stuff up as quick as possible, but really nothing can compete. And, of course, in the catbird seat is Angela, who has the Nord Stream pipeline, which I believe, is it like 40 billion cubic meters annually? And
let's take a look.
And she can put that onto her own network of grid and start reverse flowing that into Europe. But look at the Nord Stream capacity.
The Nord Stream is 55.
55. It's almost the same as the South Stream.
South is, not quite.
They're looking 63.
63.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's going to be a cold winter, people. Yeah. So we'll just keep our eye on it. Yeah, I love this pipeline stuff. I love it.
Well, it does explain a lot.
The only bad news in all of this is and this is a report from the BBC. Let me get the report up here. This is because of all this pressure on Russia and the sanctions. Prostitutes in the Russian Arctic port of Murmansk have unexpectedly hiked prices for their services by up to 40%, blaming the tumbling ruble exchange rate for their decision.
Oh yeah, well the ruble goes down, the prices of hookers goes up.
But do they get better looking? That's the main question.
Yeah, there's a lot of people readjusting their prices because of falling ruble. So we talked about this on DH Unplugged. This has got to be an investment opportunity at some point.
In hookers?
No, yeah, well, hookers, that's a tough investment because you have to be a pimp to make it work. But no, in the Russian economy.
Right.
Because this is artificial. This is an artificial depression of the ruble. This is not natural.
And it can't last.
Us meddling. No, it can't last.
No.
It's just us meddling and managing to do it. It's almost as though we're investing. Who knows? Whatever the case, it's fishy.
By the way, Turkey's inflation rate is now over 9%. You remember they had to do all this crazy stuff to save the lira like a year ago?
No.
Yeah. Turkey's, I think it's the lira I think they use.
Yeah, I know that, but I don't know what you're telling me. That they were doing crazy things.
Well,
don't remember it.
Okay. Turkey, if the lira was being so depressed by external forces that they had to raise the interest rate to an astronomical level. Let me see.
External forces, huh? Wonder who that could be.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find the story. Interest rate makes massive. This was January 28th, 2014. Turkish central bank makes massive rate hikes to stem lira fall. Overnight lending rate went from 7.75% to 12%. And that was when we were trying to pressure, I guess we were trying to pressure them financially. And it's no secret. I think that, the Erdogan loves the idea of the new Ottoman Empire. And this, and being the gas hub is really a good part of the strategy.
Well, rebelization will follow.
I'll be sad.
I can assure you.
It'll be very sad if they rebelize.
We'll keep an eye on that. That'll be fun to watch.
Yeah.
So I guess your little thing, I'm putting an X next to your red book prognostication about Droopy Dog getting in as Secretary of Defense.
Oh, yes.
Officials have confirmed President Obama will nominate Ashton Carter as the next Secretary of Defense, replacing Chuck Hagel. An announcement will come after the official vetting process is complete, but Carter is said to be the only candidate left after two others withdrew from consideration.
Okay. Just because that is the rumored selection, which may be very true.
Have you seen this guy?
Well, yeah, he's the deputy. Yeah,
he's a dweeb.
Yeah. So this guy will not get through. McCain has already announced he wants Lindsey Graham. I don't have an audio clip.
Oh, I didn't hear this.
Yeah.
Now you got me. Now you're one up on me today. Lindsey Graham?
I'm sorry, Lieberman. I didn't mean Lindsey Graham. My mistake.
What? Who?
Lieberman. I'm sorry, not Lindsey Graham.
Oh,
Lieberman.
I thought you said Lindsey Graham.
I said that wrong. Here it is.
Okay, well then now you're back down. Now -1 for trying to fool me.
Senator John McCain. Let's see. I said Lieberman, McCain told our sources as he got off the Amtrak Acela from Washington to New York. McCain laughed and said McDonough thanked him for his input, but that McCain did not think his close pal, the former senator from Connecticut, a Democrat turned independent, would be considered for the job. So we'll see.
Yeah, they're going to put this idiot in. You can tell. He looks like a yes man. They need a yes man for the next 2 years. They need some troublemaker working for McCain.
Well, things are already looking up for the military-industrial complex. You may recall there was a big controversy over the A-10 Warthog, which was...
Oh, they're going to keep the Warthog in play?
The Pentagon is deploying 300 airmen and 12 A-10 Warthog combat jets to the Mideast in early October, according to the Indiana Air National Guard. The 6-month deployment from the 122nd Fighter Unit is not specifically part of President Obama's fight against the Islamic State in Iraq and Syria, but the airmen and the jets could help troops on the ground to rout ISIS.
I love the rout. I love this rout. Rout them out. Rout them out.
Rout them.
Rout them. Yeah, so that's good. A lot of senators and congressmen, they made their money on that.
The military-industrial complex is going to get a break also with the Iranian situation, because seems to be code in this message I have here. A little code about something we might be able to sell Iran as they unofficially bomb Iraq.
The allies gathered in Brussels today to plot strategy against Islamic State extremists. Diplomats from more than 60 nations and organizations met at NATO headquarters. Secretary of State John Kerry said air attacks have already done serious damage to Islamic State fighters.
We are united and moving ahead on all fronts, and that we will engage in this campaign for as long as it takes to prevail. And there's a reason that we are confident that we will, and that is all of you around this table, the members of this coalition.
Kerry declined to comment or deny reports that Iran is also carrying out airstrikes against Islamic State forces inside Iraq.
Iran issued its own denial today of those airstrike reports. Unnamed Pentagon officials had said that Iran used aging F-4 Phantom jets to launch the raids in recent days.
We can sell them some F-22s.
They got some aging jets.
Yeah.
Need replacing.
Time for a sales job, boys. Get on the stick.
Caliphate!
Aging jets.
Aging jets.
You can't have aging jets. You guys are idiots. Get some new jets.
It's so transparent, all of this, isn't it? Just love it. Now, this is something that I don't know if we see. There's a confusion. I don't know if we talked about it on our Christmas show or the previous show, but anyway, I brought the clip for us.
The warning today was the strongest of its kind to date, aimed directly at the 1 million uniformed military personnel with a very visible presence across the U.S.
I think people should be concerned.
You just never know who's out there watching or hacking.
In its bulletin, the FBI and Homeland Security say ISIS is currently spotting and assessing individuals in the U.S. who could carry out attacks against soldiers, a much more serious threat than its standard call to jihad.
This sounds like it's much more specific. It's organized.
There's our buddy Clark. There's our man, a former Homeland Security talking.
No, Clark, he's a CIA guy.
Yeah, it was Richard Clark. Wasn't he DHS as well?
I don't think so.
ISIS is choosing the attackers and probably choosing the targets.
Members of the military are being told to scrub their Facebook and social media sites of any information or family pictures that could make them targets or provide their location.
Information mining is a real threat.
This video, produced by the Air Force last year, highlighted the vulnerabilities.
A geotagged picture from a foreign airfield, a post counting the days until the next deployment.
This is an environment that this particular enemy has proven adept at using, and we don't want to give them any more advantage than they're already trying to gain.
That's Kirby. That's the twerp Kirby. And by the way, Richard Clark, Special Advisor to the National Security Council, Chairman of the Counterterrorism Security Group, Assistant Secretary of State for Political Military Affairs, Deputy Assistant Secretary of State for Intelligence. No CIA. It is Richard Clark, man. That guy.
And this FBI warning comes in the wake of 2 separate and deadly attacks in Canada by supposed ISIS followers, targeting uniformed soldiers there. There is no indication of a specific threat or target.
I love that. So this whole thing, everyone's talking up a storm. Oh, they're planning.
You got nothing.
They got nothing.
But the sharp uptick in the number of Americans caught supporting ISIS now has the full attention of the FBI and the Pentagon, David.
Bullcrap. Scare everybody. Oh, take your flags off. Don't, boo. Scrub your Facebook.
Yeah. Be very afraid, American soldiers. Be very afraid.
And your families.
Saying this, our own government.
Yeah, I know.
So our own government is telling our own soldiers to be
afraid,
to cower in the corner, cower in place.
Yeah, I know.
This is disgusting.
Yeah, I know.
They should wear more badges and say, "Come on, I'll fight you." Give me chop your head off, you son of a, get you. No, cower. This is an insult to the American soldier.
Yeah.
He's trained, and he's supposed to cower and be ashamed of himself and not wear the American flag. Are you kidding me? What is wrong with these people?
Yeah. Well.
And I'm surprised. This is, as far as I'm concerned, is just inexcusable.
Looking a bit at the foreign terrorist organizations. You remember that group, the Khorasan group?
Oh, yeah, that was a short-lived, the worst thing ever.
Yeah, well, they're still around, but
I know, but they were short-lived in terms of high-profile public relations, news stories.
They've never been on the list of foreign terrorist organizations.
They never existed before, like months ago.
Well, their wiki page was created the minute they were.
Yes, as you pointed out.
Apparently taken out.
I don't know what the point. I think that was the Khorasan group, looking back on it, on that whole episode, I believe was a botched operation of some sort that has been just swept under the rug. That's why we don't hear about it anymore.
No, very possible.
Because there was something up. They were doing something. They had a plan. They were going to do something crazy, and it was going to get the public all worked up, and something fell apart, and some mechanism didn't work. Some guy killed himself, or who knows what. And the next thing you know, it's like, shh, forget that even happened. And then that wiki page will disappear.
I've been hearing a lot on NPR about the World Food Program, which has always been involved in controversy and scammage. They now say that they're out of money, and therefore they cannot support 1.7 million Syrians with food. I don't understand how this happens.
Yeah, I know. This is one of the the entire family here is baffled by this story.
Yeah.
And then I don't have a clip, unfortunately.
Me neither.
But I also understand the way the story goes because they did play it up a little bit on the NewsHour.
Yeah.
The basis is we're giving this food away to these people, and we're going to stop. This is the way I'm seeing it overall. we're going to stop because we're out of money. Not because we're actually out of money, but because the people who pledged to pay for this crap
haven't actually come
stop paying, or they didn't pay us.
Right.
And then they never called. By the way, when this was brought up on the news story, they never called out the countries. But I believe it would be France, Germany, Switzerland, Great Britain, the United States, a bunch of countries that, we're going to take care of these refugees. It's a terrible problem. And I also think that Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Bahrain, and these other guys also promised money, and they didn't deliver it. And so the UN just said, we're stopping until you give us the damn money you promised. That's my take on it.
And here's the funny thing, how this works. Because I was listening,
plenty of money.
I was listening to a report, and I should have clipped that. Crap. And the guy was talking about how it worked. And he said, the minute we get money into the program, we can distribute this to 1.7 million Syrian refugees almost immediately. And the way it works is people have a debit card. And the debit card is then charged up with the money so they can go and buy food from the local vendors.
Yes, I know that.
I'm thinking like bread and soup lines and stuff. And I have this whole vision of, oh man, we got
they have these stores.
They got a debit card.
Cards.
Yeah, they got a Visa.
Yeah. I know it's surreal.
Yeah. It's more than surreal. A debit card. Yeah. Safeway. At the new Safeway store in the Zatari refugee camp in northern Jordan, the Syrian cashiers wear bright blue tabards that read, "Here to help you. No need for cash. The shop accepts World Food Program prepaid debit cards." Safeway. What a scam.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That I didn't know. Safeway.
Yeah. Hey, there's probably a drive-through. I can have a Big Mac. I got my card right here. and there's transaction fees on that puppy. There's people making money everywhere on that.
Yeah, they're making money off the refugees. How can we make money off of refugees? Wow.
That's great. Hey, Angelina Jolie, good work. Isn't she the high representative for refugees?
I guess she is. She probably gets a piece of the action.
If not, she should. Safeway with debit cards. Yeah, what happened to remember the Safeway employees, and they all chipped in, and we flew a cargo plane, and the employees got trucks, and we went over to the refugees, and we handed out bread and chocolate.
They left that to Victoria Newland.
Here, kids. I just find that disturbing. It's disturbing.
NPR's going after the American Red Cross, which is a little belated.
Yeah, really.
For this woman, CEO Gail McGovern, for essentially lying about where the money goes.
Yeah, they package it all up, and then they hand it out however they feel is appropriate. This is going on in Europe as well.
They're doing a $2.2 billion business in blood. You donate the blood to them, they sell it.
They sell it. Yeah. People don't know that.
Well, they should.
In the Netherlands, I think it's the headquarters of the European Red Cross. There's all kinds of shenanigans going on. And people being fired and people leaving and being accused of really scamming the operation. And people don't understand that when you give money to the Red Cross, it's not like your money goes dollar for dollar to these poor people you're seeing on the telethon. It just goes into the coffers, and they divide it up how they feel is appropriate. And and the Ebola stuff didn't really go anywhere, did it?
Not yet.
No, they had Google right on the homepage of Google. They were doing a matching campaign for Ebola. The Netherlands
if they showed some blood-soaked eyeballs, I think they could have done better.
Would have done much better, I agree. I agree.
So I'm watching the Japanese news, and I got this. This one was actually kind of baffling because they played this as though the hydrogen cars are new or something. Because remember when we first started doing this show 7 years ago,
the Hydro Booster.
I had driven a bunch of hydrogen cars, fuel cell cars. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And I didn't like them because then I noticed with these cars, it sounds the same to me, which is they scream when you drive them. And if you drive them really fast, they scream louder. It's because of the nature of the fuel cell. It just makes a screaming sound.
What do you mean, like a high-pitched whine?
Yeah, like this. And it gets on your nerves.
Yeah, that would be a non-starter for me.
Yeah, well, I think if the streets were covered with them, it would be really annoying. But anyway, so Toyota's decided to go ahead, and I got two little clips here, and one of them is long and one's short. The short one is the one that's the giveaway of why this is never going to fly. But let's play the hydrogen. All of a sudden, Toyota's decided that hydrogen cars are going to be so important. They're actually going for all these other guys have been fooling around. Toyota's going to sell them, and so they're going to sell 400 of them, and they're going to restructure the whole economy around these cars, supposedly. But they're anyway. Play the clip.
The greenest eco-vehicle ever developed. Toyota's hopes for the fuel cell car are reflected in the name. Mirai is Japanese for future.
We couldn't think of any other name that's more appropriate for our new car.
The four-seater sedan can run about 650 kilometers on one tank of fuel. The price is $62,000. This will come down to around $45,000 thanks to the government's eco-car subsidy. The fuel cell vehicle runs on hydrogen. The gas is piped to the fuel cell where it's mixed with oxygen. That creates electricity, which powers the car. The car's only emission is water. Developers call it the ultimate eco-car. Toyota plans to sell 400 of the new vehicle in Japan by the end of next year. They'll start rolling out the model in the United States and Europe around next summer. It took Toyota 22 long years to come up with the fuel cell car. The biggest obstacle was getting it to run in cold weather. Water emitted by the car froze when the temperature dropped, blocking the oxygen intake.
What is the point of this? That they're doing this now? What do you think is going on?
I think the guy that runs Toyota, Mr. Toyoda, is nuts. I've always thought when he took over the place, it was just, he has the name Toyoda by coincidence with a D. And they had him talking about how we're going to have a hydrogen economy. All the stuff that we heard about, I don't know, 8 years ago, it was a big talk about this. Then everyone, quiet. Because I remember George Bush, it was during the Bush administration. And everyone, don't say anything about it anymore because this is bull crap. It's never going to fly. Right. And this guy is talking to I cut a lot of stuff out, and he's yakking about the hydrogen economy. He's wearing a helmet, like a race car helmet, while he's talking. And they've solved the problem with the freezing up and all the rest. But then the real, to me, was the one that was What? Are you kidding me? Who's going to do this? Part 2 of the clip gives it away where this will never fly.
Achieving that goal will be construction of hydrogen refueling stations. One station costs $4.3 million.
Yeah, that seems like a non-starter right there.
Yeah, it costs like a couple $100,000, maybe $300,000 to build a gas station.
It was something interesting that was I read it on Hot Rod Atomic Atoms blog about this company called Transatomic Power. It's a startup. They got a couple $1 million. They have a design which surprisingly dates back, I think, to like 1925 or something, of a small nuclear reactor that eats waste from other reactors. And here's a clip. One of the co-founders. Of course, they have nothing. They have a little money and a development budget, and it probably won't go anywhere. But surprisingly, she was on GPS. That's the anti-constitutional douchebag known as Fareed Zakaria, who was surprisingly kind to her. So you have to question why that was taking place. Here's a clip from that interview.
What are the problems that you were trying to solve?
So each conventional nuclear power plant in the U.S. today produces about 20 metric tons of high-level waste that's radioactive for hundreds of thousands of years. And there isn't really a solution for it yet.
Until now, perhaps, using a design that was invented 50 years ago, they created the waste-annihilating molten salt reactor.
Ooh. the Waste Annihilating Molten Salt Reactor.
Or WAMSR.
WAMSR. We got to get bumper stickers. I love a WAMSR.
The WAMSR uses molten salt to dissolve nuclear fuel. That ultimately reduces both the radioactivity and the amount of waste. The new reactor could create just 10 to 20 kilograms of long-lived waste per year instead of the 20 metric tons produced by a traditional commercial plant. 20 kilograms of waste is about the size of a grapefruit.
And the remaining waste that comes out, it's waste that's radioactive for just a few hundred years, so much shorter than the hundreds of thousands of years from other plants.
And here's another big plus. Around the world today, there exist about 270,000 metric tons of high-level nuclear waste. WAMSR could eat that waste and turn it into electricity. So this sounds great. Why wouldn't everybody adopt this design?
That's what we're hoping ultimately.
Is it more expensive? Is your plan more expensive?
It's actually about half the cost per megawatt overnight construction of conventional nuclear reactors, and that makes it, we can be on par with coal, and we're trying to reduce the cost further to make it on par with natural gas.
Oh, this sounds like a revolution. We should be all over this.
What did Rod Adams say about it in the newsletter?
He's the one that pointed out. He's always been telling us about these backyard nukes, this small stuff that can eat its own waste. This has been his consistent message. And, he actually sent me an email. He said, just so you know, the World Bank released their annual study of energy. And there's exactly one little itty-bitty article about one small reactor. This is not in anyone's interest except, the people. But it's not in the interest of gas and oil and coal. Because once you have this, there's not a lot of money to be made unless you want to make the cost of the actual electricity astronomically expensive. And by the way, we're seeing now multiple states, now that we have the petrol prices low, extremely low now in the U.S., they're saying, let's add 15 cents extra tax. You see this happening?
Yeah, douchebags.
Douchebags, exactly. And
when I was a kid was 25 cents.
Exactly. 60 Minutes did a big propaganda piece on Chernobyl, which I will remind everybody is in Ukraine.
Never mentioned in these articles.
Yeah, about an hour and a half north of Kyiv. And wow. It's just, it's horrible. You couldn't live there. People are dying. I encourage you to look at the documentary Pandora's Promise, where they go to Chernobyl as well and have a very different experience. It's just...
Didn't you go see that movie in a theater?
Yeah, it was Mickey and I and no one else.
Yeah, wait a minute. Let me get this straight. So you went to a theater to watch a movie about a documentary, I guess.
Yes.
About this
Stewart Brand
went there, and there was nobody interested enough to go see the movie except you.
Oh, worse, the Bling Ring movie was in Theater A, and that was packed.
Yeah, there you go.
But I think
that summarizes the state of affairs in the United States in terms of public care.
Yeah, well, it's important to keep pointing it out.
Okay, they're all into global warming is fine. They got that. They care.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah, on No Agenda in the morning.
Well, we do have a few people to thank, starting with Sir Hank in Kew Gardens, New York, a 12345 donation. And curiously, right after his donation came Little Jay's donation from St. Paul, Minnesota Nuts, 12345.
Very nice.
And he, let's see what he said here. Something about mac and cheese. Sir Swiss Senna in Switzerland, Swiss, 12345.
It's a good number.
And we'll give him some job karma at the end of the segment.
Happy to
Chris Facer in Auburn, New South Wales, Australia, $111. Thank you for your hours of entertainment. Javier Vasquez in San Diego, $100. Sir Stu Coates in Chelmsford, Essex, 8733. We have, as a donation to mark the 87th birthday of, he's not on did you put Uncle Don on the birthday list?
My Uncle Don?
That's what it says here.
Huh. I didn't know. Maybe I did know it was Uncle Don's birthday, actually.
Well, you should put him on the list.
I think he's on. Let me see.
No, he's not.
It says Sir Stu Coates is 87 tomorrow. That would be Uncle Don is 87 tomorrow.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Wow. Yeah.
Stu Coates could be 87. He gave 8733.
No, I'm looking at the note. It looks like he's saying in honor
Uncle
of
Don. You can look him up on the Wikipedia. Uncle Don's in there.
Yeah.
He's got his birthday. Anastasia Peroff in Mississauga, Ontario, Canada, $75. Put a D-douching at the end.
Okay.
Steve Aness in Parts Unknown, 7373. Peter Tangney in 7373, by the way. 73 is to you. Peter Tagney in Randolph, Massachusetts, 6969. Eric Bird in Baltimore, Maryland, 6789. And he sent you some sort of a note.
Yeah, but he sent me a clip, and he thinks it was hilarious. It was okay. It wasn't all that great.
James Shea in Brewston Mills, West Virginia, your old stomping ground, 6750. He says, the show just keeps getting better. Mason Possing in Singapore. Now, this note I do have to read because it's a Singaporean I called out.
There you go.
In the last show, 5566, ITM. I've listened to the show for 6 months now and finally decided to get up and donate after John's comment about not having listeners in Singapore. You have at least one. A report from Singapore. This country is all in on the Visa Pay wave. Cash is going out of style as everyone is waving their slave cards like the media tells them to. Thank you for your deconstruction, especially on the months of this Ferguson story. You were spot on and giving me loads to say to those who asked me about it. I would like to be de-douched for my 6 months of boning, and call out my father, Dennis, who hit me in the mouth as a douchebag.
Yeah.
We're waiting.
No, but he was hit in the mouth as a... he's calling him out as a douchebag. Douchebag. Misunderstood.
Yeah, I think you're doing something else. You've been listening for 6 months, 6 years. 6 years. He's been listening. His dad's been listening for 6 years and never donated.
Here you go. That's where you get the douchebag.
I would say, a double douchebag. If your poor college son can donate, so can you. If it's not 2 months, much like a Koch brothers shout and anything else John wants. That's
Koch brothers!
You are so quick to ridicule that I'm doing something else. I'm sorry.
No, I'm always doing something else. I'm looking stuff up. I'm trying to keep up with what you're telling me, and I'm looking things up. So sometimes you look something up. You're looking something up.
I was actually having problems scrolling down to where you were on the spreadsheet. That was my problem. It's a technical nightmare day. It happens. From time to time, it happens.
Nick Barnes, North Carolina, North Canton, Ohio, 5555. Kevin Dills, double nickels on the dime, Charlotte, North Carolina. Jesse Simonin, double nickels on the dime in Parts Unknown. Stuart Rushing in Corvallis, Oregon, double nickels on the dime. It's double nickels on the dime day. Carolyn Kleifgen, who sent a note in, I think, saying something, but short. Oh, yeah, she was going on about how, damn it, yeah. I bring the note over and the whole thing, and then, of course, I got piles of paper, and it ends up lost. I can't believe this. Hold on a second. How could it get lost? Oh, here we go. No, that's not it either. Huh. Well, anyway. Oh, here it is. Jeez. She sent in it's kind of interesting. It's only 55, but she sent in a handwritten note, and it's on a card that she manufactured herself from one of her photographs.
And we encourage this kind of behavior, and we'll gladly read your note if you write it out in longhand.
She sent me 2 Energel pens, which she uses to write by hand more than she used to because they're so much fun to use. Okay, I got the pens. I wanted to report back. These are not the smoothest rolling pens I've ever had by any means. So I don't want to say anything bad about the Energel pens, but I'm not. I'll get you the name of the ones I like, which I think are smoother rolling. Anyway, she says that I once met me a twit. I had a no agenda challenge coin, and you did not. Shame on you. You still owe me a drink.
Damn it. And she's out front right now waiting for that drink.
Adams Deconstruction is great. In the morning, Carolyn. All right, onward. Sir Davis Doral in Odessa, Texas. I'm waiting for Odessa, Ukraine. 5432. Ksenia Tishutina, I'm guessing.
This is is this the Russian who wanted to donate per segment?
I don't know.
Yeah, this today $1 is it's a ruble thing. $1 is 51.63 rubles. And that's why it's a 51.63 donation from Brooklyn.
Okay, this is as good a logic as any.
Yeah.
Dennis Cruz in Beaverton, Oregon, to donate it today. Unemployment finally paid.
Nice.
You said something about we give another karma at the end here.
Yeah, of course. We got
Dane Coleman, Dayton, Ohio, 5033. And the rest of these are $50 donations from the following: Adam Beck in Tempe, Arizona, Matthew Januszewski in Chicago, Illinois, Chris Terhart in Abbotsford, BC, Stephen Milliken in Corpus Christi, Texas,
a lot of Texans.
Dustin Martin in Salem, Oregon, Judy Schwartz in Bern, Texas.
Bernie.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
B-O-E-R-N-E is Bernie's local pronunciation. Nobody in their right mind would call it that except the local.
It's a German Texas town. We got a lot of Germans in Texas.
Huh. Yeah. Anyway, Bernie.
The Schlitterbahn.
Anonymous lesbian from parts unknown. Brian Navarro. Really,
no.
She's probably tired of us reading her notes.
Yeah.
Brian Navarro, Los Angeles, California, 50. That concludes our donor segment for No Agenda 675. And remind you, we do have a show on Sunday coming up, and we'd like to get some support. Dvorak.org/NA would be the place to go.
I just want to double check. So we have no knightings today. No title changes either. Just see what's
a shame.
Yeah, that is a shame. But I just want to check
some instant. So let's do this following. I got an idea.
Mm-hmm.
We got coming up the big dates of 1 or 12, 13, 14. That's December 13th, 2014. It's coming up on a Sunday, show day.
Really?
We'd like some Insta nights for that show.
12, 13, 14.
Yes. 12, 13, 14 coming up on a Sunday, and like not this Sunday, the Sunday after. It's like in a week and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd like some Insta nights for that. Anyone who's got the nerve to do it, we'll give them. We talked about this a little bit, but I would like to discuss it here on the show. An extra thing that we can do to make them a little different.
Okay.
Than all the $1,000 Insta nights that come and go.
What's the idea?
The idea is to give them the show title, like, let's say somebody, David Foley does it.
Okay.
David Foley presents, and then the show name.
Oh, wow. Presents. So, oh, wow. Okay. Let me see.
Just for this, and it's only for the. And if there's 10 people that do it, there won't be 10. There'll be 1 or maybe 2, maybe none. But if there's 2 people that do it, the first one that comes in gets the show title for that show on that day. The next show, the next guy gets the next show, and then it's so on. So if you had 10, you'd have 10 shows in a row with somebody's name at the front of it.
Okay, let me try this out. So, for instance, on the previous show, 674, the title was Nonlinear War. It would be, and if it was David Foley, it would be Grand Duke David Foley presents No Agenda episode 674, Nonlinear War.
Right.
Wow. Okay.
Oh, that's different. That's just the Hollywood model again we use.
Like
Dick Clark all the time.
Ryan Seacrest presents.
Ryan C.
There you go.
Yeah.
We'll call it the Ryan Seacrest Insta Night.
Ryan, right? Not Brian. Brian Seacrest.
I said Ryan.
Yeah, Ryan Seacrest presents
Brian.
the No Agenda show. The blah blah blah.
We got it. We're from now on. He's known as Brian Seacrest.
Yeah, Brian Seacrest.
Done with this guy.
Brian. Seems more like a Brian than a Ryan.
I love it. That's great.
Well, we'll see if anybody likes that idea. If they do, then we'll find out.
Well, thank you all very much for supporting the program, for the work that we do. I'm happy that you are getting value out of our deconstructions. Thank you, everybody else who came in under $50, most for anonymity reasons, many on subscriptions monthly. Go to our page to definitely hook us up.
Dvorak.org/NA.
And as promised,
jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
Hey.
It's your birthday. On no agenda.
And we congratulate Chris Icebox, or Chris Buck, who turns 44 tomorrow. And Sir Stu Coates, very nice to congratulate Uncle Don Finney Gregg, who will be 87 years old tomorrow, still fighting the good fight on behalf of the good guys here in Gitmo Nation. Happy birthday from all your buddies here at the best podcast in the universe.
It's your birthday, yeah.
Here's what I'd like to do. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, let's do this one. Haven't done this in a while.
Attention all human resources. Now entering second half of show.
Second half of show, John. Second half of show. Today, a very important day. We have a launch taking off. I believe it's on Atlas.
Oh, yes, there we go.
Atlas V5, Atlas V. Taking off, and this will launch.
That should have taken off this morning.
I believe so. Yes, I don't know if it did.
So let's find out. Well, you do that. I'll be goofing around.
I need you to pay attention. I need you to listen, though. You need to listen. This is to put the Orion space vehicle into space. And NASA has they do great videos. They're really good at showing you the animation of what's supposedly happening. As you know, I'm sometimes critical of facts that have been presented to us on television. It has gotten me in a lot of trouble. And when I was watching this NASA video...
How does it get you into any trouble?
I've been banned from Twit.
NASA's Orion launch scrubbed, rescheduled for Friday.
Oh, boy. Well, good. Then we get to talk about it more. It'll just be tomorrow when they launch instead of today. So NASA has this great video, which explains, a very excited guy who's explaining how it's going to work and what they're going to do and how it's all going to fit together. And as I'm watching this, I'm saying, wait a minute. Now, you know in fact, when I was banned from said program, it was due to my questioning of the travel through the Van Allen belts, which are radiation belts, in order to get to the moon.
Right, there's a number of people that have this argument.
And this is, in fact, one of the main reasons for this Orion. Let me just play this and we will discuss after.
We are headed 3,600 miles above Earth, 15 times higher from the planet than the International Space Station. As we get further away from Earth, we'll pass through the Van Allen belts, an area of dangerous radiation. Radiation like this could harm the guidance systems, onboard computers, or other electronics on Orion. Naturally, we have to pass through this danger zone twice, once up and once back. But Orion has protection. Shielding will be put to the test as the vehicle cuts through the waves of radiation. Sensors aboard will record radiation levels for scientists to study. We must solve these challenges before we send people through this region of space.
Okay.
For this flight, it's time to head home.
This kind of makes my point for me. This is a big 3,600 miles. The distance to the moon, I might point out, is 238,900 miles, which we did, over 40 years ago through the Van Allen belts, which we now have to somehow test because it's too dangerous for people. Explain.
Explain what?
Explain.
Explain what?
Explain.
The Van Allen belts are bad. There's some areas, according to the NASA folks, that you can shoot through at a high speed and get past them because it's not one.
That's not what he said. He said something very different. He said,
that's what
before
he said,
we put people,
maybe he's going through the thick of it.
Before we can, okay.
It's not a same size belt, one size fits all. It's thick in some areas, it's thin in others.
Oh, you've been there?
I haven't been there. I've looked at the pictures.
Okay. Look, I'm just going by what he's saying. He's saying, "Oh, it's very dangerous. We have to test it before we send people
at the press conference chime in and hold their hand up and ask the question."
Well,
that's what I'd like to know.
I didn't see any press conference. This was a video, which is highly produced, and this is.
But they have press conferences about this, I'm sure. I don't even know. I think whole thing is bogus. I think this is a spy mission of some sort.
He also makes a big deal out of 36,000 miles. No, 36.
The whole thing is this is a very strange. And they're not taking any chances on this thing. They're not going to just casually launch it. They keep putting it off. This is a second or third delay. As the exploration flight test, the EFT-1. Yeah, I haven't looked into it so much. I figured this is more your alley.
Yeah, and there it is. I have questions. I get no answers.
No, you don't.
No, I don't. I guess I don't deserve any answers.
Now, you would say, the problem is you're inconsistent. You make the claim that nobody ever went to the moon ever, sometimes, and then sometimes they didn't do the initial ones to the moon, but later of the 9 flights.
I'm completely consistent, and I have said I do not believe that moon landing.
That moon landing, the number one moon landing, the one where they lost. This is the only thing that you got a lot going for you.
They lost all the tapes. The originals were destroyed. Yeah. It's all these annoying little things, John.
Yeah, well, that one, I agree with you. Losing this is like one of the most historic events in the history of mankind, and you lose it. You lose the tapes.
Yep. Didn't they get bulk erased or something? It was even better than that.
Stupid. Some bogus way. By the way,
that really sounds legitimate.
So, okay, you got that going for you. And but you also have claimed that they've gone up there the other times because I think the argument would be, well, they didn't want to take a chance on the first one, botching it up and killing everybody. So they phonied it up. So it was a big deal. And then they could do the other ones with less eyeballs on them. But that doesn't make sense at all. Because if you can't get through the Van Allen belts, you can't get through the Van Allen belts under any circumstances. They would have never gone to the moon ever.
Then that's very possible. That would trump me. That's not inconsistent. I'm just pointing out what is being said by NASA.
Okay.
That it's dangerous to push people through it.
You have this. I've known other people that are very sincere about this, and I think I can't prove them wrong. And I just say, well, that's the way. I'll believe the government in this case. But
it's okay because.
But if it was all bullcrap, they showed it. Yeah, we're sorry we did that because I would say, well, there you go.
I'd be out partying in the street.
I would not. I would not be actually surprised, but I would be disappointed.
They should just cop to it already. Luckily, we have a president who's all
the science is in.
He's all in on the science. He's very, very well versed over there at the National Institute for Health. Talking about the Ebolas, and you got a little tour of everything.
Last year, I welcomed Francis and some of you to the White House to launch our BRAIN Initiative to unlock the mysteries of the mind and pursue new cures for disease. And Francis promoted me at the time to scientist in chief, which made me very proud, although I sort of felt guilty that I hadn't studied more chemistry. But
he's smacking his lips a lot.
Yeah, well, because he's about to do something very complicated.
I think smacking his lips is a tell.
Well, is it a tell for us or just for him?
I don't know. I don't know what's a tell for, but it seems like a tell.
It is remarkable. And I just got a fascinating tour of your vaccine research center. I have to say I was very impressed with how you can clone a virus gene into a vaccine vector, then subject it to gel electrophoresis.
Phoresis, really? How about fluorosis? Is it phoresis or fluorosis?
No, I think it was fluoresis. I think he's trying to say electrophosphoresis or something like that.
And then
where it lights up.
Right.
Pipette the samples into a 96-well microplate. Run it through the world's most advanced multi-parameter flow cytometer. I mean,
he can read.
It was impressive. I've been tinkering around the White House setting up a similar system. We use it for brewing beer.
I thought that was pretty funny. Now, at the beginning, you heard that he was talking about the Brain Initiative.
Wait a minute. I think you're kind of missing some of the stuff in this clip.
No.
He's talking about going to where they can create viruses. What was he talking about? Create them and then clone the virus and then make a vaccine. This sounds as though it's like I think the National Institute of Health was involved with a lot of this kind of weaponization. I don't know. It just seems like a strange series of commentary.
Well, he was visiting that. Well, that would make sense, wouldn't it, to make light of a situation like that? If weaponizing something and just joke about it, that would be par for the course. What I found interesting, he talked about the Brain Initiative. I think it was like $100 million thing that he started a year ago. And that was, without doubt, one of the best PR initiatives I've seen in a while. You recall Mickey photographed brains at UT with our brain professor?
Yeah, the brains.
Okay. And she has not produced those into work that has been on display. There's been interest and people wanted to license it and stuff. It's a very different type of photography of the brains. And we heard about a month ago that another guy had been to UT and he had made a book about the brains at UT, and he photographed them, but really Mickey made conceptual art out of the brains. Which really shows a lot more of nature and golden ratio and all kinds of stuff like that. This guy really just did straight on great photos of brains. Adam Voorhees is his name. And we knew this book was coming, and then all of a sudden we get this UT brains stolen, including was this famous criminal, Charles Whitman, who killed 16 people, including his mother and wife, before he was fatally shot by police in 1966. His brain was also there. None of this is true. The brains were not stolen. These things were in the basement. No one gave a crap about them. They were poorly labeled. But some perfect PR company has come up with this story, which is now, it's gone completely viral, and this guy's book is attached to it. It's fucking brilliant.
You really think that's right?
What, that it's a PR move?
For the guy's book?
Yes, 100%. 100%. Absolutely.
If that's true, that is one of the highest level of PR attacks I've seen for a book ever. Let us see if we can trace this back. The guy's name is Adam Voorhees. Voorhees, Voorhes. I'm telling you, this is a PR move. Well, I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying it's pretty advanced for a book.
It would be pretty coincidental. Let's see who publishes the book. Would that help us find out? I mean, this has got to be an Edelman or someone really good has got to be doing this. Let's see if we can find out who. Can I find that on Amazon? Who publishes it?
What's the name of the book?
It's called...
no, Amazon doesn't, apparently, half the time they never tell you who publishes it. What's the name of the book?
Malformed Forgotten Brains of the Texas State Mental Hospital, which is not true, by the way.
Malformed Brains of the Texas... God.
Yeah, these are just brains that were in the basement. We know because it's the same brains that Mickey photographed. And it's all these rumors that this guy's brain was a part of it, not confirmed, really not true. And there was,
Malformed Forgotten Brains, December 2nd, 2014, just came out.
Mm-hmm. Powerhouse, who publishes this?
I'm trying to find out.
Okay. Would it say the New York Times? Would it say it there? Who published it?
They would say, and the New York Times would say.
Let me see. I'm opening up the New York Times. New York Times is very slow to open. Oh, here we go. Would it say at the bottom of the story?
Usually it would be at the bottom. I believe. I could be wrong. Powerhouse Books, no?
What's Powerhouse Books?
Pentagram. Published by Powerhouse Books.
What kind of outfit is that?
You tell me.
It doesn't sound very, very high end.
No.
Powerhouse
It's got to
Books.
be an imprint of one of the big boys. That's what
it must be. Some.
Sure.
Yeah,
That's
let's
fine.
see. Powerhouse Books.
See who Powerhouse Books is owned by.
Okay, about.
There's a lot of these going on, this kind of thing. You might as well just be a self-publisher because nobody's going to know.
Established 1995. Daniel Power started Powerhouse Books. It almost looks like a small little operation. Maybe these guys are just good.
Well, it's always possible, but it seems like a Powerhouse Books. I don't see any. Yeah, I know there's no way that they're just owned by themselves. I don't believe it.
They have some bestsellers.
It says Eventsville is independent book publishers' giant Dumbo space.
Cool.
Offbeat art books is what they're specialized in. And this is about as offbeat
as you
as
can get.
anything ever.
Offbeat as you can get. Well,
so they're not an imprint. At least that I can tell. I mean, if I spend another 5 minutes, I could probably figure it out. But
I mean, I'm telling you, this is a setup, and it's brilliantly done.
Well, nothing for a little publisher in Brooklyn.
Someone did it well done.
I think it's a coincidence.
Okay. All right.
Now, if I say that I think it's a coincidence and it was actually a public relations thing, high fives.
Yeah.
Because if that's what I'm supposed to think.
This is the kind of thing that you actually might be good at finding out who was behind this. I think I might have to put this.
I would not by my research. I just call a couple of guys in New York.
That's what I'm saying. You got to go. Can you do that? I'd like to figure that out. Anyway, to me, it was okay. This is a great.
Okay, here's a little interesting aspect of this. These guys also did the Vice photo book.
Ah, well, that's interesting. You say that. I have a clip about Vice with the founder Shane Smith, who is a front man, Tom Freston.
And this is a public relations driven operation that jerked up their net worth.
Oh yeah. This is Shane Smith, who is just a hipster beard dude. He's a front man. He's a good front man. But Tom Freston is the guy behind this, who was the CEO of MTV Networks. Very, very smart guy. He knows how to do this. He's pumped this valuation up so high. And they are on a buying spree. And here's Shane Smith of Vice in conversation with, are you ready? Jeff Jarvis. And they're talking about acquisitions.
There's a real hot market for acquisitions in high tech, but not in media. So we saw a lot of distressed media assets out there, be they magazines, be they web platforms.
You buy a magazine?
Platforms. Well, we've bought magazines. It's a good business for us. Like we bought ID magazine,
right?
And we turned it into an online entity, and now Chanel and Prada and LVMH are lining up to give us 8-figure numbers. So
well, bully for you.
There's a lot of distressed media assets out there.
Did he say bully for you?
No, I said bully for you.
Oh.
I said that. Like Prada and everybody in LVMH, they're lined up to give us 8-figure numbers.
A lot of distressed media assets out there. Some of them in TV that we can go after that we believe would be, look, HLN is a distressed media asset. It's a great opportunity because they're doing a very bad job. And we believe we could do a better job.
HLN, headline news. Bingo, boom, shakalaka. Well, look out, Nancy Grace. And these guys they are all about the PR. And they'll take money from the State Department. They'll take money from the Russians to do anything.
Huh. Well, there may be some PR thing to it. I don't know why they want to plug the Malformed Brains book, but they could pull that off just to show off, maybe.
Well, everyone ran with it. It's USA Today, CNN. Everyone's all, oh, this is so funny. And then,
stolen brain, yeah.
Because one thing to have the stolen brain story, but then they immediately, this guy is talking about it. The guy someone launched this bullcrap story. There's no brain from the mystery criminal. They're poorly labeled pieces of crap.
Yeah, well, see, this is a good thing you had Mickey do this work because it got us some inside scoop. We would have not even noticed this story, or you might have, because it's local, but the story just passed me over. I never heard anything about any of this. All right. Interesting. Well, you might be right there. Got the updated on the drone report. I don't know why I don't even want to play that. Forget it.
No?
They're going after the drone guys again. Of course, do you find it unusual that
good catch,
Amy Goodman?
Good catch. You're going to say weird, and you did unusual. Good catch.
I didn't even come close to saying weird, but I did say unusual. Well, thank you. I'm still trying to get the yes/no thing resolved.
Well, you said essentially a lot today, and I've just let you slide.
Well, I've got to stop doing that. Well, I do have the weird thing under control, but the yes/no thing is still mysterious.
So let's do the drone report.
So do you find it unusual that Amy Goodman, who goes on and on about Obama and the drones, is still a big supporter of how do all these people bitch about the drones constantly, and they're still huge Obama bots?
Do you want me to answer the question or play the clip?
Yeah, I want you to answer the question. You can play the clip and then answer the question.
A new report finds U.S. drone strikes kill, on average, 28 unidentified people for every intended target. While the Obama administration has claimed its drone strikes are precise, the group Reprieve found that strikes targeting 41 people in Yemen and Pakistan have killed more than 1,000 other unnamed people. In its attempts to kill al-Qaeda leader Ayman al-Zawahiri alone, the CIA killed 76 children and 29 adults. Al-Zawahiri remains alive.
Joining us from Berlin is Jennifer Gibson, a staff attorney at Reprieve, author of the new report, You Never Die Twice. First of all, Jennifer, why that title, and talk about your main findings?
I think the title is quite self-explanatory for us. Basically, what happened is we started noticing a pattern among the drone strikes with our investigations in Pakistan and Yemen. And the pattern was that the same high-value targets seemed to die again and again and again. And so when we started digging into it and looking at the news reporting, what we found was that in targeting 41 high-value targets, the U.S. took on average 3 times, it was 3 attempts to kill them. And actually, with 7 of the individuals, they didn't even kill them.
Yeah.
Haven't we discovered this way before this report came out when we were discussing the actions in North Africa and Algeria?
Sure.
And we kept seeing the same guy getting killed.
It happens every day, over and over, and he pops up again.
He's dead again.
Yeah. Well, I've told you that Uncle Don is still all in on this. He feels that drones are the way to go, surgical strikes, this is perfect. And I fight him on that. I said, we're killing suspected militants. This is what it is now. Suspected militants, which is code for kids.
Yeah, kids.
And then why? And why are we doing it? Because they're going to jump on in their Toyota and drive over and kill us here. Why we're droning them in Yemen? We're droning them in Pakistan, Waziristan. I did talk to the liquor guy who was from Pakistan, our local liquor store here around the corner. I said, "Hey man, what is the deal with you and India with the Kashmir and all that?" And he says, it's just the terrorists. The terrorists are being sent down from Pakistan into India. This whole Kashmir, there's water. That's important. We hate each other. Screw those guys. And this is going to be a never-ending story of terrorists coming to India, and that's kind of it. We just hate each other. Okay, that's really good. But why are we then going and droning everybody and killing suspected militants? He says, pipeline protection. Thank you very much. That's all I wanted to hear. Pipeline protection.
The drone again. Naturally.
But it is, of course, inexplicable that people are not disgusted by this. Just completely and utterly disgusted.
There's the Obama bots. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, completely and utterly disgusted.
So we have a couple of. There's a story I got that I think is just bogus. Doesn't make sense.
Okay.
In any way, shape, or form. But it's this is the Syria update, and tell me what you think doesn't make sense about this story.
And in Syria, President Bashar Assad said today that airstrikes against Islamic State targets in his country have done no good. He told a French magazine that only ground troops can defeat the militants.
Yeah, this is an interview. I got an update from...
inviting ground troops,
yes.
Our ground?
Yes.
Is he crazy? It's
yes.
bull crap. There's no way he said that.
Here is Sub70, who is in Syria. Sent this to me this morning. President al-Assad did an exclusive interview with Paris Match magazine, and this is out now today. So it was an interview by French magazine. And there's 3 Q&As. Are the coalition strikes helping you? Bashar al-Assad says, you can't end terrorism with aerial strikes. Troops on the ground that know the land and can react are essential. That's why there haven't been any tangible results in the 2 months of strikes led by the coalition. Are you afraid to suffer the same demise as Saddam Hussein or Muammar Gaddafi? And Bashar al-Assad says the captain doesn't think about death or life. He thinks about saving the ship. Okay. And Francois Hollande continues to refer to you as an adversary. Do you think contact can ever be reestablished? Assad says it's not a question of personal relations. As a matter of fact, I don't even know him. It's about relations between states and institutions and the interests of 2 nations. We will work with any French dignitary or government in our common interest. Notice it's about the French. But the current administration is working against the interests of our people and that of the French people. I'm neither personal enemy or rival of Hollande. I think that Daesh is his rival and their popularity is very much the same. So this came out of Amy Goodman is just parroting this interview.
No, that was actually Woodruff on
I'm sorry.
NewsHour.
Right.
All right, how about this one? What do you have a follow-up on this?
By the way, how cool was that I just hit
Very
that
good.
on you? Hit that, okay.
Sweden update.
And Sweden has called its first snap election for more than half a century after a far-right party helped defeat the centre-left minority government's first budget in Parliament. The elections in September handed the anti-immigration Sweden Democrats the balance of power, and they continue to threaten to make the country ungovernable unless the country adopts tough new immigration policies.
Well, you will not believe this, John. This morning I received an update from our global intelligence network. From Diffin from Sweden. Would you like to hear?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Hello.
Now it sounds like we were rehearsing.
No, this is not rehearsed. This is not rehearsed. As you probably know, we have an interesting time in Sweden. The Sweden Democrats, who are foreigner hostile right-wing party, make note of that, have just voted down the ruling administration purpose for the budget. That has resulted that the Swedish minister Stefan Löfven, who is of the Social Democrats, have called a new election, which will take place in March. Couple funny things going on here. Do you love our global intelligence network?
No, they're the best.
First of all, not a single party wants to discuss the Sweden Democrats. Even now that they are the 3rd largest party in Sweden, I believe that this is something that has pissed off a lot of Swedes. A survey made today says that 44% of the Swedish people thinks the Sweden Democrats, now these are right-wingers, not
UKIP of Sweden.
Yes. 44% of the Swedish people think the Sweden Democrats did the right thing to throw the ruling administration out by not voting for their budget. All the politicians tell the media this is an outrage and not how it's done in Sweden. The Sweden Democrats think the Swedish parliament is just a playground. Only problem is that most of the Swedish people think exactly the same thing. All the other parties are blaming each other and the Sweden Democrats for what just has happened. And here's the latest meme from Sweden. I have taken responsibility, or we are going to continue to take responsibility. Something every politician in Sweden is telling the media today. Funny how everyone is so damn responsible, but we're still in this mess. I wanted to add that in Sweden we have the FRA. The FRA has been spying on Russia for the U.S. for a long time. This is the connection. This is how we get the WikiLeaks connection with Assange. With Sweden's FRA, which I guess stands for, what does it stand for? Let me see. It's the
probably something in Swedish.
National Defense Radio Establishment. Okay. FRA has been spying on Russia for the U.S. for a long time, and from 2008, they can listen to wired and wireless traffic without a court order. So now when the Finns are routing their internet traffic through Sweden, it's a really nice time for the Swedish Security Service and Swedish government to collect some nice information. Love the show. I'll be donating soon. I asked if there was this UKIP of Sweden, the Sweden Democrats, if they were really anti-Muslim, and he came back and said, they're really foreigner hostile. They want to cut down the number of people that come to Sweden from different countries around the world. They got a lot from Africa and the Middle East. They didn't know that a lot of Africans go to Sweden.
I didn't know that either. They must be very ghettoized.
Since it's tough with the economy in Sweden right now, it's the same everywhere. The not-so-intelligent people think the foreigners are coming here to steal our jobs. Well, of course they are. Hello. We know that. To eat your food. The only problem is the not-so-intelligent people pretty much don't work in the first place. Prime Minister Stefan Löfven said it's hard to imagine how 13% of the people can vote for a party that are afraid of the Muslims. He says the Sweden Democrats are not. They want to reduce the immigration rate overall. But on the other hand, the Secret Service was interviewed in the largest paper in Sweden. They said they have been phone tapping and following people who just visited Syria. So you got the same bullshit we got. Oh, you got people going over to Syria and coming back to blow you up. However, then he says, we here in Sweden are not afraid that we'll be attacked by IS, ISIS, or ISIL, or any other organization. But of course, the large newspapers are trying to start something to make us worried. But in general, nobody gives a crap. Well, good on you.
Yeah, the Swedes are pretty laid back.
I like
they have opinions, but they're not like nervous Nellies like we are, apparently. Okay, getting stumpy on that one. Third try.
Oh, please. Really? All right.
Venezuela update.
I can tell you right now I have no update.
Well, and he is the country's president. She is a prominent opposition leader, and she's now been charged with conspiracy in relation to an alleged plot to assassinate him. It is the situation in Venezuela where Maria Corina Machado is vehemently rejecting charges that she's been involved in any plot to kill President Nicolas Maduro.
The political turmoil continues in Venezuela. Opposition leader Maria Corina Machado has been put under investigation for her alleged participation in a plot to kill President Nicolas Maduro. Hundreds of protesters were gathered outside the Attorney General's office to support the former Congresswoman. Maria Machado responded to a summons to attend the closed hearing on Wednesday and said she had nothing to hide.
Again, proving we don't know what the hell's going on in Venezuela.
No, we really don't.
No, we don't. We have a few people that write in and tell us some stuff, part of the network, but they seem to have political agendas. And I don't know. It's just going to be hard to get a grip on it.
I wanted to read you the little article here, which falls in the
Shut up, Slade
category. It's from the UK. Prosecutors, they're really clamping down on free speech. I don't think you really even have free speech in the United States of Gitmo Nation East, United Kingdoms. The prosecutors have now set out guidelines on which messages posted on social media could be treated as a crime. So these are words put on computer networks that can be a crime. The Lord Advocate Frank Mulholland said the test is simple. If it would be illegal to say it on the street, it's illegal to say it online. What in the United States, John, by you as a constitutional scholar, of course, what would be illegal to say? What words?
Well, actually, certain kinds of threats against the president.
Okay. Is it illegal or is it an offense? Is that an actual federal offense?
Yeah, there's a law.
Okay.
It's illegal, and it's been held up by the Supreme Court. Everything else is pretty much fair game, it seems to me. You can't really threaten people, but I don't think it's illegal. I think you son of a bitch, I'm going to kill you. They would be, if the guy ends up dead, they'd use that against you, but I don't think it's not illegal that I know of. I think they're trying to make it illegal.
I would say, and this is one of the guidelines, if the communication constitutes credible threats of violence to a person, damage to property, or to incite public disorder, would that be illegal in America?
I think it's pretty much of a gray area. I don't think it is.
Well, here's one I know that we can do. Well, for now, you may not in the UK on social media specifically target an individual or group and with a hate crime, domestic abuse, or stalking message. You can't say, hey.
Well, there was this guy. Remember the case we talked about? It was the Facebook case that just went to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, where he was saying, I want to kill my wife.
Saying, I want to kill my wife. Yeah. I'm going to kill you. Yeah. I know where you live. I'm going to kill you, but I'm just joking or something. It was essentially
JK.
Kind of along those lines, although I think he prefaced it with, if I'm not mistaken, he said, I know the difference between free speech and not free speech and what's legal and what's not legal. For example, I know it's not legal to say, I'm going to kill you. I know where you live. And that was his premise. And then he did a rap song. He said, this is just an artistic expression.
Right.
And he was just skirting around. So I guess it's illegal.
But we have not seen an opinion on that yet, have we? I don't think that.
No, it's not done.
Okay. I continue.
Wait a minute. No.
I don't think
Well,
I don't think there's an opinion yet.
Okay. Well.
You may not post anything on social media that may amount to a breach of a court order or contravene legislation, making it a criminal offense to release or publish information relating to proceedings. That would be whistleblowers.
Also, if you got one of those security letters, that's illegal to read.
Yeah, but how about just WikiLeaks? WikiLeaks in general, you cannot post any WikiLeaks.
WikiLeaks is illegal.
Yeah, it'll be illegal here too. And finally,
I think WikiLeaks is half illegal already.
Yeah. Finally, in the UK, you may not post anything on social networks that do not fall into the above categories, but are nonetheless considered to be grossly offensive, indecent, obscene, or involve the communication of false information about an individual or group which results in adverse consequences. You better leave the UK, people.
Well, get off Twitter, that's for sure.
This legislation is important. The substance is right, the time is right, and the way in which it has been developed is right. It is a properly considered, thought-through set of proposals that will help to keep us safe at a time of very significant danger. It has been drawn up in close consultation with the police and security services. In an open and free society like ours, we can never entirely eliminate the threat from terrorism, but we must do everything possible, consistent with our values as a country, to reduce the risk presented by our enemies. It is a struggle that will go on for many years, and the threat we face right now is perhaps greater than it ever has been. And we must have the powers we need to defend ourselves.
There you go. It's all good, everybody. Podcast license coming soon.
Yeah, but we'll be able to get one until they listen to the podcast.
Hey, these guys are no good.
These guys.
We can't give that to them.
Guys like that, talking like that.
We got to take that away from those jabronis.
Put them on probation. Send them a stern warning letter.
All righty, everybody. Well, we'll see what more bull crap comes down the pipe. I got a couple things I'm working on. And I'll see if I can get more from that Putin address now that I have it. State of the Union. What is today? Thursday? Yeah, it's Thursday. Good. Tomorrow will be Friday.
We should get more listeners in that Russian area of Brooklyn, New York.
Right.
So Russian, it's astonishing.
Coming to you. I'm sorry.
I don't know. Next time I've always wanted to just go there and eat food. It's got to have some of the most authentic stuff around. Anyway, I'm sorry, this is a distraction.
That's no problem. Coming to you from FEMA Region 6 here in the capital of the Drone Star State in the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, which I believe is FEMA Region 7. I'm not sure. I'm never sure because we don't have many uses for FEMA here. I'm John C. Dvorak.
And we'll be back on Sunday right here on No Agenda.
Boom shakalaka, boom shakalaka, boom shakalaka, and boom shakalaka.
Joe Biden, and thank you for taking the time to listen.
Adios, mofo.
The best podcast in the universe. Dvorak.org/NA